Traveling the Vortex.
We've joined the Doctor as he travels the Vortex and landed at episode number 234. And happy Father's Day. Or as Stormageddon would say, happy Not Mom Day. I'm Keith.
I'm Sean.
I'm Glenn.
How are you guys?
Good one, Keith.
Thanks.
I'm good.
Happy Father's Day.
Thank you very much.
Happy Pop-Pop Day.
Thank you very much.
I actually was looking at...
Happy Uncle Day.
Oh, thank you. I was actually looking at Father's Day cards, and there was one that was Pop-Pop Day.
Really?
Yeah. I thought of you. I thought, oh, I hope Katrina got him that one.
I thought of me, too, when we were watching Arrested Development earlier this week, and it was it's an early episode when he says Pop-Pop's not going to make it out of jail. Pop-Pop's going to die in here. And I looked at Mel and said, would you bring Katrina to visit me if I had committed light treason? She said, no.
Sound like you murdered somebody. It's treason.
I may have committed a little treason.
You getting pretty far in that?
I think we're only up to like episode 7 or so, but we're making pretty good progress.
Still more progress than I'm making.
Warms my heart.
Yeah. Mel does not like it as well as Archer. She's enjoying it, but she's not enjoying it as much as she
I want to go
Archer.
back and start watching it again. So especially since they announced season 4 for next year.
5.
5. That's what I said. You have no proof that I didn't.
I have no response to that.
Happy birthday, Glenn.
Thank you very much.
Happy birthday.
Got my gift from Keith and Sarah tonight. I got the Happiness Patrol. It's my only Doctor Who gift so far. Everything else was, because everything else was cash and gift cards, and that will probably be spent on Doctor Who. So I'll let you know next week.
Figure you'd start hoarding that now for the inevitable avalanche of Star Wars merchandise that's going to come out in November.
Hang on. I had to. I told Keith. I said, "Well, I couldn't be upset about getting the Happiness Patrol because everybody knows
They
how I
come
feel
and get
about
you.
that story." But but
You're such a killjoy.
I said I am a completist, so I would end up owning it. And Keith said, "Yeah, and now you don't have to spend your money on it."
And it seems only appropriate that I get it for you.
That's
Since I
right.
enjoy the
That's
story so
certainly
much.
true because that's one of your
Good.
favorites.
You're in charge of getting him Ghostlight.
Yes, please get me Ghostlight.
That'll be a birthday and Christmas present rolled into one right
A
there.
couple more than that. I think I saw that one upwards around $100.
Ooh.
This just in, Ghostlight still not available.
Some of those items that I own, I just look at them on the shelf and go, wow, how was I lucky enough to find that at such a low price?
Yeah.
Like I was talking to Sarah about...
Well, it's because it was still available then.
we were talking about going possibly to see Chuck Palahniuk when he was in Kansas City. I don't know when it was or is. And talking about getting his autograph. I was like, well, I have one. And then I have the first edition Fight Club. I was like, and that's worth a lot of money, surprisingly. And showed her on eBay how non-signed first edition is like $500. And I got it for $7.
100?
No. It was, yeah, it's just impressive.
Kind of nice.
Yeah.
But would you ever sell it?
Not that I ever get rid of it, no, but I guess
it's only worth
comes to worse.
what it is to you.
So I started
only worth
personalizing.
something.
Any chance we get
yeah.
to get somebody to personalize it. It's like, I'm not selling this. And I'm going to make darn sure that when I'm gone, the kids can't do anything with it either.
Did you have a good birthday?
I did.
Birthday and Father's Day all rolled
Yeah,
into
we went to
one.
my folks today for lunch, and they had cake and ice cream, and we ate lasagna for lunch. And that was fun. And then we went over and saw Holly's dad for Father's Day this evening. And after that, my family, Holly and the kids, took me to Buffalo Wild Wings, which I like. One of my favorite places.
We actually ate there on
We
Thursday.
did. Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it's one of Mike's favorite
I like
places.
their food. I like their buffalo wings. They're so good.
I wish their atmosphere was a little different.
It's so loud.
It's so loud. I mean, I get that it's a sports bar, but
But I would like the dining area to be quieter, but it's just as loud as the sports bar.
Yeah.
They got just as many TVs in there too. Actually, I think there's more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a bigger area.
And there's just that wall of noise that hits you when you walk in. And so every now and then when we go, we'll go and... I mean, I do eat there occasionally, but we'll go there and we'll order stuff and then take it home. Which is just fine by me.
What kind of wings do you get normally?
Good, hot. Boneless. I do the snack size, so it's only 7, but 7 boneless hot.
Just hot.
Just hot.
It's
buffalo sauce, but it's their classic sauce, but it's got a lot of heat to it. It's only 3 away from the most extreme.
Yes, I don't like that.
Yeah. I tried the Chipotle barbecue one, and it was actually a dry wing. It was interesting. It was good.
I like the honey barbecue and the sweet teriyaki.
Those are too sweet for me. I don't like sweet.
Sarah tried the teriyaki, and I think it was just... She got bored with it after a while.
I tried the Asiago once, and it had a little too much heat for me, so I'm kind of lame when it comes to that.
See, I prefer everything
the
on
jerk is, oh, man.
I prefer everything on the tangy and spicy side.
Yeah.
I don't like the sweet sauces.
Have you ever tried the jerk?
I have the Caribbean jerk.
Yeah,
so. It's good. I like it.
It's just too much black pepper for my taste.
Yeah. No, I like it. It's, like I say, it's got the spices in it. So, but yeah, no, classic hots for Of course, I'll regret that tomorrow morning. But
Glad I'm not the only one that does that. This little tiny notebook that I carry around with me occasionally, and things that I cannot eat anymore. Occasionally, after visiting a restaurant, it's like, cross that one off the list, add it to the book. Pains of getting older.
We saw a couple movies this week.
What'd you see?
Well, let me set it up, because Tuesday morning we went to the movie theater.
Set it up.
Because we were going to see Paddington, because it's one of the dollar films for the summer
the summer movie stuff
thing that they're doing. And this week was Paddington and Turbo. Well, we'd seen Turbo, but we got to the movie theater that starts at 10 a.m., and we got there at about 10 till. And there was a huge line, and I thought, oh, no. And by the time we got up to the window, Paddington had sold out.
Oh.
So they were like, well, do you want to see Turbo? Well, we saw Turbo in the theater, and Mason wasn't too impressed. I think it's a cute movie, but Mason wasn't too impressed with it. He really wanted to see Paddington. So I said, well, let's try and come tomorrow, because they do them Tuesday and Wednesday, and you can see either film both days. And so I said, well, let's try again, come Wednesday morning. So we went home, and the kids were all bummed. I said, well, let's rent a movie. And so we had already gotten home. I thought about stopping at Redbox, but we'd already gotten home. I said, well, let's see what's on Apple TV, because you can rent videos on there. And they had a 99-cent bar, and I went, oh, that's cool. And so we scrolled up to it, and the first one there was Annie, the new one.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And we hadn't seen it, and the kids wanted to see it. And I said, well, we can rent Annie. It's only $1. And they said, yeah, let's rent Annie. So we watched Annie. And
how was it?
I fell asleep.
That good, huh?
It's cute. It's not as horrible as a lot of critics were saying. It's nothing. I mean, it's nowhere near as good as the original. When by the original, I mean the one that came out in like the early 80s. But
yeah.
Carol
Burnett, Tim Curry.
Albert Finney.
Yeah, Albert Finney. But
whoever that little redheaded kid was.
It was cute, and I liked.
It's interesting how it's gotten a big Broadway revival because of the movie.
Yeah, the music changes. There's they obviously stylize and modernize the music. There's some that I actually thought were better done, or at least I liked. There were some that I thought, it was a bad choice, bad change there, but. I think I slept for 20 minutes of the hour or nearly 2-hour movie. So what I saw of it, I quite enjoyed it. Just there's a part where it got really boring, and I closed my eyes and woke up and went, "Oh, I've missed 20 minutes of the movie." But the kids loved it; they absolutely loved it. So, and the acting's really good. I think it's corny, and when you try to modernize something and do a musical, sometimes it doesn't quite gel, and it has that edge of. It almost didn't work sometimes in some scenes, but you have so much fun with it. It was pretty enjoyable. So, and I was wiped out from the night before. I think we recorded Monday.
Yeah, we did
record the night before.
And so then Wednesday morning we got up earlier and went. Of course, I think Tuesday there was a lot of buses, so there were a lot of church kids and daycare kids and YMCA kids and.
Tuesday was their movie day.
Wednesday, there was hardly anybody there. I don't think like a third of the theater was filled out. But Paddington is really good. It's cute. It's really adorable. It's got a good, solid story. Only about 93 minutes long. 12th Doctor Peter Capaldi's in it, which was a surprise. I didn't know.
You didn't know that?
I did not know.
I thought we covered that. That he
we
was
may
in that.
have.
I don't know if we covered it, but I knew it.
I guess you're allowed to forget the occasional thing on the show.
Colin Firth is the voice of Paddington. Colin Firth? Yeah.
No, I thought he was supposed to be. It's
Oh,
Q.
was it not? It was who?
The new Q is the voice.
Who's the new Q? What's the new Q?
From Bond?
Wishaw.
Oh, maybe it is. Well, he sounded like. I thought it was.
It was supposed to be Colin Firth.
Oh, okay. Maybe then.
We were very
It
excited
sounds
about
like-
it because Sarah loves Colin Firth.
It sounds like Colin Firth.
He probably is doing a Colin Firth impersonation.
Maybe. But anyway,
We can get you Colin Firth at half the
I think
price.
the weakest. I think the weakest part of the film is Nicole Kidman. I didn't think she was a very good villain, but
She's trying to steal the bear or something, right?
Yeah. It's very likable, and it's one we'll own for sure. We decided we'll buy it. So
My sister watched it but fell asleep, but it was late for her, so.
it's cute. It's so cute, and I didn't fall asleep. Of course, we were in a movie theater. And I rarely fall asleep in a movie theater. I wasn't near as tired.
We took Audie to go see Avengers Age of Ultron.
Do you like it?
He did. He thought it was a little long for him. Got a little bit of a wiggle butt going on, a little bit. But afterwards, he was kind of complaining that he waited forever for one character to show up, and he didn't show up till the end. So he was waiting for Vision.
Oh,
He enjoyed it, though, after the fact. This was the first time I'd gone with him to a theater, so... Luckily, Mike still went, so, we could kind of sit back and enjoy the movie, and Mike could do the dad stuff. And
yeah.
shared my popcorn with him, and it was fun.
We went and took Katrina to see Inside Out today.
How was it?
Very good. It's very, very, very good. I don't want to spoil it. It's typical Pixar. I mean, it's going to, wow you and amaze you and pull at the heartstrings. And I was really surprised, maybe I shouldn't be at this point, but I was really surprised that for being a movie about a kid, it's very adult. And I don't want to say
That's
dark.
kind of Pixar's thing.
Yeah, I don't want to say dark, but it deals with some very grown-up stuff that you really kind of only get the hint at in the trailer. It was thoroughly enjoyable. Really, really had a good time with it. I don't think it's quite as funny as I was expecting it to be because it was. I mean, it's not that it's not funny. There are funny moments sprinkled through it, but it's more of a drama. It's more like Up in a way.
Oh, okay.
That it's that kind of serious tone.
They kind of alternate in their movies between serious and more funny. So
it's doing quite well. Apparently, I don't remember that. This before today's numbers. It was at like 91 million, which they said was the highest grossing
according to
non-sequel.
Well, it's the biggest original product, I think is what they labeled it, where it's not based off a book either.
Or based off a book, yeah.
Yeah. Previously was Avatar.
And the second highest Pixar opening other than Toy Story 3.
Yeah.
So, highly recommended. Definitely go see that. And then we came home and watched Terminator because we're gearing up for the next wave of what's the next sequel that's coming out. And I mentioned earlier that it still holds up. That's such a great film.
Are you guys going to watch Salvation? I was thinking of rewatching them all, but skipping that one.
I don't know.
I have a soft spot for 3. I really like 3.
I enjoy 3. In the same way that I enjoy Jurassic Park 3, I enjoy Terminator 3. I think Terminator 3 is a much maligned, for no reason, movie. It's a decent action flick, and it's a lot of fun. But Salvation just, I don't know, it left such
Even the director's cut is supposed to be even better, and I never saw the original cut. I only saw the director's cut, and I was not impressed.
Well, it's just that the big twist that they think they have going for them, it's not a big twist, and it kind of winds up being boring, and it's a story that we've already done many times. When 2, really.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I don't know. But I've only seen it the once, so maybe I'll go ahead and go back and watch it just for...
I've only seen it the one time, too, and I enjoyed it. I didn't think it was a bad film. I mean, it wasn't as good as 1 or 2 or maybe even the third film, but I was fine with it.
I wasn't Maleficent.
I'll watch it again.
No, I wasn't Maleficent.
I'll definitely watch it again in my rewatch. So.
Well, it sounds like the new movie won't really recognize 3 or Salvation. So
yeah, Cameron actually had a quote where he'd seen it and he chalked it up there. He said it's a much better movie than both 3 and
he
Salvation.
said
this is the first real sequel.
Yeah,
to
first true
Terminator
sequel or
2,
something.
Yeah.
So I don't like that. I don't like that. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't like a franchise series that decides we've done 6 films, 5 films, and we're just going to discount 2 of them. I mean,
That was part of my problem with the TV series. It discounted 3 early. And I was like, well, what? There's a whole movie there. You're discounting it. You're ignoring it. It's
But for
almost going out of its way to make sure that doesn't happen.
But for the purposes of the TV show, because of the way 3 ends, they kind of had to.
Well,
I mean,
I think they could have done it better. I didn't finish the TV show, though. So
spoilers ahead if you haven't seen Terminator 3. It ends with the war.
that's what I like. That's one of the things I really like about 3.
I walked out of the theater going, that's unusual for a 4th of July movie to nuke the world. and that's the end. It's not like you get a happy ending. They survive, yeah. But the War Games scenario comes in, it's like, oh, wow.
It just seemed like there was a lot of stuff in the series that they were going out of their way to go, okay, we're going to make sure that 3 can't be possible.
Well, it's the end of
Because you could still set it earlier and still not negate 3.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of it, though, that I kind of feel like that's maybe where they're headed with the new film, by going back and even rewriting some of the events of the first film.
Yeah, way back to the first
So it's kind of like... That's honestly one of the things that I'm really excited about, is that they're using time travel to rewrite.
That's just
it's like,
the
okay.
only thing that the Terminator films have going for them is that there's a lot of time travel element in it, and
that can help hand wave a lot of the stuff away.
I get so... I don't even want to talk about it. I get so frustrated with franchise, and this is nothing new. I mean, book authors have done this, where they've written 6 books and then decided that in the way I wanted to do it. So they write a sequel to their second book, and then they go on from there and pretend nothing in the middle happened.
Yeah.
Arthur Conan Doyle did that. I mean, it's.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
I know it's all studios and money, and it doesn't end up pleasing fans. And that's the worst part of it, is the fact that fans are okay with that. Oh, you're going to pretend those didn't exist? Yay, because I loved this one so much better, so you can just go from there. And
now some of the directors are such big fans
know
of
what?
the franchises, and they didn't like those other ones too.
Fix it.
So they're
just fix it. Just give me one line that fixes it. You know, I just...
Do you like what First Class or
Superman series is the same way. I know people do not like the 3rd movie. I know people don't like the 4th movie. And the 5th one just decides that...
No.
Doesn't happen.
Bryan Singer came out in an interview and said it's the 5th film. Period.
Yeah, but it was written in such a way that it ignored everything else. It really did.
I think it still fits.
it just needs to be more like Days of Future Past.
That's what I appreciate the most about Days of Future Past is it did not ignore anything.
It's one of the
it
few
just
ones
said,
I can think of that actually
this fixes it.
Fixes, yeah.
Because what made it worse was how much First Class ignored a lot of stuff that come before. And while I think the First Class was a phenomenal movie, I had a lot of problems with it because of the fact that they had changed a lot of the history and the storyline, and I was like, that doesn't set well with me. But then Days of Future Past comes along and goes, well, we're going to get clever.
We watched another movie, Gone Girl. Wow, that's an incredible film.
Yeah.
Really?
It's intense. It's heavy. There's a huge twist that comes really early that I didn't see coming, and then I did not know what was going to happen the rest of the movie. Like, I don't want to spoil it. Really well done.
Is it the scene with Neil Patrick Harris when it gets to that part?
No,
that's where I felt it. It turned a left turn.
That took a whole nother left turn. Now, this was the first big twist, in my opinion, about halfway through. Sean, well,
I haven't seen it.
I don't want to say.
You shouldn't spoil it for anybody else.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those movies that if you haven't seen it, you really have to see it. Because I didn't like the ending that well.
I wasn't a big fan of the ending.
It was
was
fine.
kind of.
It was okay. I mean, I didn't hate it. There's some people that just are really polarized.
Sarah heard that
over
they
it.
changed it from the book. She had read the book, and they didn't change a thing.
Yeah, Holly said that they didn't change a thing.
They didn't explain the ending as well in the movie as they did in the book. Did
Maybe
Holly
that's what
explain
they
the
mean.
ending?
A little bit. Yeah.
Okay, so really well, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck,
The other half. Of
the other one, the other guy,
guy.
did a really good job. Tyler Perry did a surprisingly good job. I would like to see him do more actual acting and not just be Medea.
You know, I talked with James a little bit about that because we were talking about the 2009 Star Trek, and you know, Tyler Perry has that little cameo as the Admiral.
Yeah.
And I think he's a quality actor, but I'm so not in. I mean, like I'd be even willing to go and watch Alex Cross, even though I heard it wasn't very good, because I like that character. Even though I don't know how you step in the shoes of Morgan Freeman, but just curious. But yeah, the whole Medea thing's like, eh.
He was really good in Gone Girl.
Medea's got its own audience, though. I mean,
It's not targeted at us at all.
It's not for me. I can say that.
Yeah. Rosamund Pike does a really good job in it.
she was phenomenal.
Neil Patrick Harris did a fine job. Patrick Fugit did a good job.
Yeah, they all did
Yeah.
excellent.
Not a single bad actor in the movie. And that's a movie with Tyler Perry in it. So there you go.
What was the gal that played his sister? What was her name? She was really good.
She was on The Leftovers. She was a main character on The Leftovers. That just blew me away. And then I was even more invested in the movie now because I recognized this actress and liked her in the show, and so it kind of carried over a little bit there.
I watched some more Arrested Development this week. I watched some more Clone Wars this week. And we finished Game of Thrones this week.
Oh, yes.
You done?
Am I done?
Yeah, with you
The
current?
season.
Yeah, I'm caught up.
You're
Yeah, I
current?
watched the night that it. Yeah, you guys kept putting off recording till Monday, so I just kept watching them on the. I said, "Hey, I'm going to watch the season finale on the night of the season finale."
You're current?
Yeah, we watched it live. It was weird.
Yeah, you got your HBO hooked up, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay, so spoilers ahead for anybody that doesn't want to know about the... Who's left? I feel
Have
like...
you read all the stuff online about how it might not actually be true?
Yeah.
And
Well,
then there's all the people saying, no, it's true.
Oh, he's dead.
I feel a little bit
He's
like
dead,
Shatner in Wrath of Khan.
but it doesn't mean he won't come back.
I feel a little bit like Shatner in Wrath of Khan talking to George R. R. Martin. It's like, you've managed to kill just about everybody else. I was...
We got a couple more characters.
Season 1 and 2. I'm so looking forward...
Nobody they really care about anymore.
Yeah.
When there's one,
One,
but
but who knows what's going on with her?
Exactly.
Well, and two for me. Maybe three.
Well, there's a couple of
there's
characters
still
that I
two
think
more
they
Starks out
seemingly
there.
killed and they didn't. I don't.
Oh, yeah,
sure
yeah, they didn't kill him.
Well, not that we're aware of. Clever bit of editing that was.
I want to know how.
Followed by another clever bit of editing with
I want to know
Brienne
how.
of Tarth and Stannis. Maybe, maybe not.
Eh.
No, I think
I'm less
Stannis
convinced
is
on
dead.
that one. But
Stannis
Oh,
is
yeah.
dead. I'm curious about Arya. I think that they're going to survive the fall. They jumped into a snowbank.
You mean
or
Stark?
something.
Sansa.
Sansa, not Arya.
It's a high-
Arya
it's
was
a high-
that storyline was.
That took a really
Who
weird
was it
turn.
that said? Was it you that said Arya's doing the worst internship?
worst
ever?
internship ever.
I got a chuckle out of that.
Which it's kind of refreshing going back and rewatching season 1 because I've now finished it and I just saw the guy that she just killed.
Yeah, you know what was
Season.
well.
It's like, well, okay.
They
together
did
much
a
better.
big giant.
jump.
Well, no, they did this big thing at the beginning. One of the previously on.
Oh, yeah,
and it
go
went all the way back to season 1 and showed everything up to. I mean, if you weren't caught up, you saw at least a good chunk of piece of every season of Game of Thrones, and I went, "Oh, there's going to be a lot happening in this story today."
For not really remembering
And they showed
that
him
guy,
there because they showed his sword fight.
Yeah.
because I didn't remember who the guy was. I just knew he was on the list and she was going to get him. Man, when she got him, that was very satisfying. Just feral
Considering
animal.
how many she had not gotten.
Yeah.
How many had been taken away from her.
Yeah, it was very satisfying. But I've been going all the way back to season 1 and 2, when people were coming out of the woodwork with claims to the throne. Like, I remember when Stannis showed up, and I was like, who is this guy? And they stopped and had to explain to me that he was... I was like, have we seen him before? Well, no. It's like... Which is why I will never read these books. I've been told, well, the way to read them is to just pick one character and then skip around through the book and read their story.
I wouldn't do that at all.
And I looked at him and I went,
then
you have failed as a writer if you're going to make me do that.
There are so many, especially in the first book, there are so many chapters that kind of cross over.
You could take the Fire of Ice and Song of Ice and Fire books and treat them as a choose-your-own adventure. And when you get to the death of your favorite character, you go back to the beginning.
You start over.
And then when you get to the death of that character, you could read those books like, I don't know, 200 or 300 times.
But there were so many people with a
Don't
claim
pick
to the
Ned
throne.
first.
Yeah,
Well, actually, that might not be
That
bad.
might not be a bad idea.
It'll be a shorter
read.
read.
But if you get one that goes a long way, then you might get a quick short read. With
there you go.
And then you go back.
But there were so many people, and I remember thinking to myself, I really cannot wait for Daenerys to get across the sea and burn all of you people.
I thought the same thing.
I'm so ready for her to get over there. And now, after this, assuming she ever gets across the sea, there's nobody left. She's going to come marching into the she's going to just land at King's Landing and look around, and the White Walker's going to be on the throne going, what you want?
Come at me, Snow.
Yeah, there's nobody left. Now, Echo brought up an interesting point at work. It's really, this the whole L plus, how's this go? Have you heard about this J plus L equals R thing?
The true lineage of Jon Snow.
The true lineage of Jon Snow, okay?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
There's an interesting idea with this, that because we're in the North, and again, spoilers if you haven't seen this yet, but because we're in the North...
And apologies to no one or those who have not watched the show at all.
Yeah. Because we're in the North, you got to burn the body. Right? What if he doesn't burn? She didn't.
Yeah, that's true.
And maybe that's why Melisandre happens to show back up so that she can...
That's why Mel's
and, zap him and
well,
bring
they
him
gave
back,
us that weird random little thing last season.
Well, it was more than... Well, in the season couple back.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
With the Red Priest.
Yeah.
Who was raising the guy back from the dead every time.
Several times. Yeah. I mean, they gave us that randomly, that little chunk of story in the middle, and then never did anything more with it. So.
That was like season 3, I think.
Yeah.
I said season 4. I meant season 3.
That was seed money. This is going to come back later. Pay attention.
Well, there's a great not dysentery.
Dysentery is never great.
In the long history of dysentery, the ranking system
never has dysentery.
There are some great articles online pointing to specific things in the books to say that he's not dead, including the prologue of the final book.
Well, the most recent book.
Well, yeah, the most recent book. The most recent.
We still have
book.
2 more. That
Keith has read the prologue to the final book of Game of Thrones.
He's released a chapter of the next book at least.
Yeah, I saw that.
So if you're so inclined, go read them. It's interesting.
Because he has material to start writing now. He's been watching the show.
Well,
that's been the holdup. It's not that he's...
I've been saying that all along.
Where are they at now? Oh, that's a good idea. I know how to finish this.
That's what I said. I said back when he said he granted permission for them to go on and do their own thing. I said, yeah, of course he's going to grant him that. So now he can go, oh, that was a good idea.
Well, because what author was it?
I imagine it's like this. the big C. That's the one.
I think it was the author of the True Blood books. They introduced a character in the series, and she was like, I wish I would have introduced this character. She's brilliant. So who knows? George R.R. Martin might do one of those things.
Well, supposedly he knows... They've outlined the end game for the show. Yeah. And he knows where it's going to end because I think...
It's supposed to be in line with where he's going to end the
with
books.
both of them in there. So either way...
It's such an interesting time for the series now.
Yeah.
assuming that we have burned through all of A Dance with Dragons. Now no one besides the showrunners and George knows what's going to happen.
For those of you that have read the books, welcome to my world. Because now you don't know anything. You know nothing, Jon Snow.
That poor professor that was threatening his students in class with giving away spoilers.
Oh,
if they
yeah,
weren't good,
now
though.
he's got nothing.
He's got nothing now.
But, yeah, and then Cersei. I was so... This season's been so satisfying to see her get her comeuppance and, drinking water off the floor of the prison. It's like, yeah, he deserved that. And then we get to the walk, and I almost genuinely felt bad for her by the time, it was all said and done. And then we get back to the castle, and she's got a gigantic wind-up killer machine. And she smiles. And it's not like no, it's the Grinch Who Stole Christmas smile when the corners of his mouth do the little curly Q's all the way in. That's the smile that she had. I was like, oh, God, here we go again. She's going to start killing people.
I kind of hope they explore that story a little bit more because I'm fascinated by it.
By
the mountain.
Oh yeah. No,
I kind of want to see him take his helmet off.
He's taking a vow of silence until he's killed every one of your enemies. He's going to be quiet for a long. The guy must not be that good of an actor because we don't want to pay him.
Which is interesting. Going back to season 1, he's not that big. Because it's a different actor, yeah. The mountain got bigger.
Something else Echo commented on. She goes, how unfortunate is it that we live in this day and age and that we're not coming up in it? I said, what do you mean? She goes, could you imagine being part of a fraternity now that this episode has aired? Because every hazing, every initiation, there's somebody with a bell behind you going, shame, shame. Somebody leaves your apartment at 3 in the morning and there's a kid running behind him. Shame. Yeah. So now we must wait.
Yes. Now that I finished season 1, I plan to go, after a couple more books I want to get to, go pick up the second book, whatever it's called. I can never remember.
Did you finish Game of Thrones? The first book?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
I didn't realize that either.
Yeah. I can't remember when I did. It was a while ago. Last year, I think.
Which ending did you get?
All of them.
So you guys do anything else?
I'm halfway through my Buffy, or the season for Buffy 5 and Angel 2.
Are we going to get to what you did this week?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
That's why I was seeing if you guys were done.
That's for not telling me what you were going to do this week.
It was a bit last minute.
Yeah, I started seeing photos show up and went,
oh,
what was he reposting? What is it? These are not reposts. These are real.
I just wanted to say that I got to the episode of the probably most heart-wrenching episode of television and most well-crafted episode of television ever in Buffy season 5.
The last episode of Firefly?
No,
oh, sorry.
No, not quite. But a Joss Whedon work, so...
The last season of... Or this last episode of Lost? That was heart-wrenching for a whole other reason. That was heart-wrenching.
Heart-wrenching.
Actually, it was stomach-wrenching.
Heartburn.
I don't know. I can't... No matter how many times I watch this episode, tears. This is worse than Time of the Doctor. Heart-wrenching. That's how it's impactful. It's amazing television.
Having not watched Buffy, I will sit here and nod.
And you never got that far.
I don't think I got that far, yeah.
You'd know if you got that far. It's an episode that should have been given Emmys.
If it was after season 4.
It was mid-season 5.
Okay, I was going to say, if it was after season 4, I missed it. All right, I hadn't seen it yet.
Does it feature the death of a character?
Yes. A very tragic and...
Needless?
Well, that's when they changed the name to Angie the Vampire Slayer.
Spoilers.
Not necessarily a needless death.
I think I know who you're talking about, believe it or not, even though I've never seen an episode of the show.
It shouldn't be a surprise, but it is. Death. And it's...
Yeah? No?
What is that?
I don't know sign
language. A willow tree?
Yeah.
No,
not that one. Oh, no, okay.
It's okay. Aside from that death,
Willow dies?
No, not aside from. Okay,
wait, what?
I forgot about that death. Actually, so this is the first non-supernatural death in the series that is just throws everybody for such a major loop, and it's so well crafted. There's not a piece of music in the entire episode, and it's just so haunting, and just long lingering shots on the characters, and not a lot happens in it, but he directed it so masterfully that it's just engrossing that you can't just tear your eyes from the screen, even though you have to wipe tears away at the same time.
Oz got hit by a car.
Well, yeah, that's what happens when you're a werewolf. You run out and...
I feel like I don't need to watch this show. I think I forgot it pegged pretty well for not knowing a thing about it other than there's Buffy and vampires. I think I'm on track with this.
Anything
What else
else?
did you do?
What'd you do, Glenn?
Well, I mulled it over about Tuesday. I knew Smallville Comic Con was
He didn't
coming
even
up
mention
this
it to
weekend.
me, so...
Well, because I wasn't sure I was going to go until I went. Smallville Comic Con was this weekend, the 20th and 21st. And if anybody doesn't know, Smallville is what they rename Hutchison every year, because 2 years ago, for the 75th anniversary of Superman, a man by the name of James Judge, I can't remember the guy's name.
John James Judd.
Anyway,
It's an unfortunate name you've got there, John
a resident
James Judd.
of Hutchison, Kansas, petitioned to get the name of the city changed to Smallville, and in honor of the 75th anniversary of
Because those that don't
Superman.
know their Kansas geography...
there is no Smallville.
There is no Smallville.
There's no actual Smallville, Kansas. Marvel's like that. All of their cities are
No, DC.
fictional. DC. Sorry, Marvel are real. DC's all of their cities are fictional. They make them up.
I've been
So,
to Gotham.
2 years ago, there's actually a Metropolis, Illinois, too.
See? Not as big as the other one.
No.
No, nowhere near.
So, last year, the city council, having gotten recognition nationwide the previous year, decided that they would do it every year as an annual occurrence. And the man that had petitioned for it decided that he was going to do a convention every year in Hutchison and it's a comic book convention. And so they had their first one last year,
They
and
had
it
a lot
was
of Superman.
much more successful than they expected it to be. In fact, they got Brandon Routh there last year, who played Superman in Ralph, who played Superman in Superman. Almost said
Returns.
Superman Lives, Superman Returns, and they had they have mostly
wish I
comic
could met him.
artists and writers and things like that. And so this year they did it, and John, my cousin, who went last year, said this year they had doubled in size. So there was one building on the Kansas Fairgrounds that they are in that they took up half of last year. This year they took up that entire building and then had to move the gaming and panels into a whole other building. So they were actually taking up two buildings instead of half. Actually, I guess it'd be tripled in size because they were only taking up half of the building. Well, that's not true. Because the convention floor was half of the building, and then the other half of the building was where they had the panels and stuff last year. So they did actually double in size this year. So it went from one building to two buildings. And so this year they had the guests for this year, and I can't remember who they were last year, but Brandon Routh was like the biggest one, I think, as far as star power goes.
They had quite a few. They kept them all Superman related.
Yeah, for the most part.
Last
for the
year,
most
yeah.
part. This year, guests included Billy D. Williams, played Lando in the Star Wars films, who was not there when I got there, and I didn't see him the whole time. Fortunately, I had met him at Kansas City Comic Con. Vernon Wells,
No, you met him at Planet Comic.
Planet Comic Con in Kansas City. Vernon Wells, who played what was the character?
He's the Mohawk guy, right?
Yeah, the Mohawk guy in The Road Warrior.
Did you get his autograph?
The main bad guy, not the warlord leader guy, but the main bad guy. I didn't get his autograph.
Gotcha.
I did go over and chat with him for a couple minutes. Lee Merriweather, who played Catwoman in Batman the movie back in the 1960s with Adam Ward and Burt West. She was also in an episode of Star Trek. I don't remember who she
That
played.
Which Survives or Blink of an Eye? Wink of an Eye.
I think it's Wink of an Eye.
I think it's Wink of an Eye.
She was also
I didn't know she was.
she played Lily Munster in the revamped series in the 1980s, The Munsters Now, or something like that. And then there was another Star Trek actor, Manu Itriyami. Is that how you say his name?
Looks right.
Anyway, he's been in Voyager Renegades, which is not a official Star Trek.
Oh,
right?
okay, yeah.
And then Kathy Garver, who played the littlest girl on Family Affair. I can't remember her name on the show. She had Miss Bees, the doll that she carried around with her all the time.
Sure.
And then
Sissy.
Kelly Hu was supposed to be there, but I don't know who she is, but she canceled it.
That's Lady Deathstrike.
Okay. I do know who
Oh,
you're
she was
talking
on
about.
Arrow, too.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. And then, but who I went down there to see, and this is what this is what did it for me. Which I finally decided I'm going to go down there and meet her because I really like her character on the show. Katrina Law, who plays Nyssa on Arrow, it was there. So I said, you know what? It's 2.5 hours away. I kept mulling this over all week. And I say, it's 2.5 hours away. I've got family down there. I wanted to go visit my aunt and uncle because they have their new bookstore that's been open for 2 years, and I still haven't seen it. And I wanted to go visit John and his family, and John and his wife Genesis and their 2 kids were going to Smallville Comic Con. So I texted him on Friday and said, "Are you guys going to be there?" And he said, "Yeah, we've got Eden's game in the morning, but we're going right after that." I said, "Well, I might meet you there." So I got up Saturday morning, headed down. First thing I did is I got in there, found where it was, walked straight across the dealer's floor, and went to see how long the lines for the autographs were. Because I was getting Katrina Law's autograph. And it was only maybe 6 people deep. All of the lines were only about 6 people deep.
Nice.
So I was like, okay, that's what I'm doing. So I got in line, got up there, talked to Katrina. She's really, really nice lady. She's so sweet. It reminds me of the early days of Planet Comic Con. It's very intimate. There's not a mass of people like Planet Comic Con has grown to now. It's a little more like Galley, where you have a little more time with the stars when you get up there and get autographs, and they're real personable and they talk to you and chat. And I mean, her and I talked for like 5 minutes just about the character development on the show and everything. And she was really sweet. And that's because I walked up to her. I said, "I'll have to admit, I'm a bit starstruck because I think right now you're one of the best things going on Arrow." I said, "It's a phenomenal show. I have loved it from the beginning, but I really liked what they've done with your character. Even though I think that the story kind of got a little bit, the whole storyline got a little bit watered down." I said, "Your character's been very strong and consistent, and I've loved where they've gone with Nyssa." So we chatted. I got her autograph, and came very close to getting a picture with her, but I didn't. It was another $10 to get it, and it's just one of your you snap a photo with her. It wasn't a professional one. They did have the professional ones there that I could have done as well, but yeah, and then spent the rest of the day walking around, looking at the dealer floor, drooling over things that I couldn't afford. And like I say, John and Jenny had got there just after I had arrived. So I was only there maybe 5 minutes, and they showed up. So we all spent the day together. And it was fun because Zoe and Eden, their little girls, are really, and Eden's only maybe 5 years old, I think. And she's really getting into the comic stuff, and it was fun to them to walk around, and they'd find things. "Mom, can you buy this for me? Can you buy this for me?" So they had a lot of they had the Jurassic Park gas Jeep there.
Yeah.
They actually had one of the SUVs in town, but apparently they had to cancel it there because it was being used at the movie theater for the Jurassic Park movie, and coinciding with that. So we didn't get that. And there was another vehicle that was supposed to be there that ended up canceling, and I can't remember what it was. That's not important. I didn't care to go see it. So, but yeah, so they've got a good thing going down there. I'm very impressed with how organized it is. TopCon had a booth down there, so they had some representatives. There was a vendor there that I met, and I'm blanking on her name, but she does these things that are actually kind of cool. It's just a band. And they have snaps on them. And you can buy 3, 4, or 5 snap bands. And then you buy your favorite genre snaps, the snap that actually goes onto the back piece, and you can snap them on there. I thought that's kind of clever, because you can interchange the snaps. So you could do all Minecraft. She had a lot of Doctor Who. And I thought,
was it Wantz? WANTZ?
That's who it is. And she knows you. She asked why you were there. She's
Charity.
over. Yeah, that's it. She's over here just on 21st Street. Or
No,
29th
29th
Street.
in Oakley.
Yeah, over by the CD Trip. Well, it's
What used to be CD Trippers, yeah.
It would be, yeah. She asked about you and asked why you hadn't come down. And I said, well, he doesn't even know I'm here. And
No, I didn't. Not until the photos started pouring in on Facebook.
Time Eddie had a booth there, and
good.
so they're getting some representation out. Nobody that I knew. There was just they had one gal running it, which I think she was just kind of manning the booth when I was there, or I had chatted with her long. But I did mention, she said, "Take this flyer, you can get $10 off your entry." And I went, "Well, we're the podcast that's going to be down there, so I'm hoping I don't have to pay." Yeah, like I say, a lot of fun. The only panel I sat in was Katrina's. The only problem that we had was in the building that they had it cordoned off, and I think they had gaming going on the other side of this curtain. And they, not like video game, because it wasn't loud, but I think they had like tabletop gaming and things like that. And this building they had her in or the panels in was very expansive. So if you set more than 5 rows back, even with the speaker system, I just couldn't make out what she was saying. So I struggled with that for the most time, and I think that was their worst thing they've got going right now is just the audio system in there. I think the panels need to be in a smaller room because they don't take up a lot of space.
Yeah.
And I don't know what they would do because I don't know the fairgrounds layout that well. But I think they need to have them in their own space so that there's not that bleed over sound from whatever's on the other side of the curtain. But very well organized, very well put together. They had security there. It looked like maybe off-duty officers that were, wandering around. You really felt safe. You felt like, everything was being handled well and organized.
About how many people do you think?
Oh gosh, I don't even know. I can't even. It was about the size of crowds of Planet Comic Con up until about 4 years ago.
Before it moved to Bartle Hall.
Before it moved to Bartle Hall.
Okay.
Probably
gotcha.
about that many people.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good crowd then.
And a lot of cosplayers, and they had some gals that are cosplayers from Wichita that came over. iBot was there from Topeka. They had this really cool. They have Wichita has a Star Wars cosplaying guild, and I can't remember for the life of me their name, but they had this nearly life-size Jabba the Hutt.
I saw the picture.
Yeah, and his tongue is actually doing this. It's like moving around outside of his mouth. And you could go up there, and they had a chain. You could put it around you and be slave labor, or you could walk up there and get a picture. And I don't know for the life of me why I didn't go up there and get a picture with it, but I took some snaps. And they had a TARDIS there, as you guys probably
that was
saw
an
from my
impressive
picture.
TARDIS.
That TARDIS has seen some better days.
Oh, really? the pictures from the photos,
from the front, it looks great, but inside, like the whole wall was caving out in the back. And I was like, okay, I'm going to stand strategically here so you can't see through the back of the wall.
It's well loved.
It is well loved.
How was the Doctor Who presence?
I saw another guy there that took some pictures, and I'm friends with him on Facebook, and forgive me, I can't remember who it is, but I saw his pictures, and he had a lot more pictures. I saw one doctor when I was there and didn't get a chance to snap a picture. But he had a lot more pictures there, so there must have... I didn't see a lot, but then, like I say, Time Eddie was there, and the TARDIS was kind of near them. It was kind of off by itself. There was a booth, and then Time Eddie, and they had a Dalek that they had set back, but it was obviously a real quickly cobbled together Dalek. It wasn't very impressive, but it God bless him for trying. It was good.
It's one that we've got at our table.
Exactly. So, but
we really need to get on that.
So I didn't see a lot of Doctor Who cosplayers, but when I looked at the pictures later online that some others had posted, there were quite a few, so that I had just missed them.
Did you go?
The vendors had a lot of Doctor Who. There was a lot of new style toys. There were a lot of books. There was a lot of what I call the Etsy type style stuff. Which, what's her name again?
The Once.
Charity.
Charity had. She had one thing of snaps. That was just probably 30 different Doctor Who designs. Wow. So there was quite a bit as far as dealers go.
Yeah, to pair up with her and see if we can get some donation type stuff to hand out.
Why not?
Did you see a friend of the show, Robert Collins?
I did not see Robert.
Our resident author had a booth there.
And I even looked for Robert, and I went up and down the aisles and never saw his booth. So
really?
I don't know if I missed him and they had him in another place. They had sort of an artist alley, And as I walked down through there, I thought that's certainly where he would be, and I didn't see him. So now I don't know if I just missed him, or maybe he didn't make it, or wasn't there the first day. So
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, you know what? I think he was there. I think Saturday and Sunday were the days that I saw he was there.
Well, those were the only days of the con, Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
And I was there Saturday morning.
And you were there Saturday.
Or
Huh?
Saturday
Okay.
afternoon. So
I think I remember reading
So,
on his Facebook page that he was there
Robert,
Saturday and
I
Sunday.
apologize that I missed you, but I did not see you.
Well, maybe we ought to look into having a presence down there at Smallville.
Yeah.
Bolster the hoodum. The hoodum. I said it, and it doesn't make any sense to me at all.
It works for me.
Hoodum.
Hood'em.
Yeah. Hoodum.
Hood'em, man.
Hodor.
I worked worse. Anyway, nice job, Smallville Comic Con, and the organizers
Sounds like it's
down
a
there are
good,
doing it
fun
because,
con.
yeah, they're doing a good thing down there. And John and Jenny, thank you for letting me hang out with you all day because that was
So you
a
didn't
lot
take
of
the
fun to
kids?
see them. Huh?
You didn't take the
I
kids.
didn't take the kids. It's one of those things that I wondered about it, and I thought, Holly's going to take them swimming Saturday, and they'll probably have a lot more fun doing that. But this is one of those conventions where there's two sides of it. Because when I take them to Kansas City, they have so much fun for like the first hour,
Yeah.
and then they're bored, and I'm dragging them around.
Yeah.
They're just, they're ready to be going home, and I've got so much other things I want to see and have to do. And this is one of those cons that you really could do the whole thing in about an hour and a half. Aside for if you sat in a lot of panels, you'd obviously have to wait for those. But it was one of those things I got down there and I thought, this would have been perfect for them. They would have had fun. They'd have seen a lot of stuff, looked at a lot of stuff, and really enjoyed it. And we've been gone.
Yeah.
The problem with this con is 2.5 hour drive down, 2.5 hour drive back. And when I got back, Caitlin said, I don't know that the balance is worth it there. So I got both of our audios for next week listened to and listened to something else. So a couple podcasts. So
All right.
There you go.
That's what that drive's good for to Wichita.
Oh, yeah.
it really is. Yeah.
I bet but you've got family down there. You could surely book something
other
around.
stuff.
That's what I did, as a matter of fact.
Well, I mean, if you took the kids next time, that you could.
Well, Holly and I actually talked about next year going down there, and then I could take the kids to the con, and then she could take them and do other things if I had other things.
Cosmosphere.
Or
Or
if she got bored.
Or
Stay
she'd want to go
overnight.
to that too.
Right. Well, yeah. But we thought maybe if we made it a weekend overnight trip, we could go on Saturday, hit the con one day, and do fun stuff,
yeah.
stay over. So, yeah.
Salt mine.
Yep. So it was fun, and then I got, like I said, I think I
gonna
said
bring
this,
my
but
DVDs.
I got to see my
Just so that I can say they found Doctor Who in a salt mine, and nobody.
well,
found
that's
Doctor Who. I
another
found
thing
Doctor
that
Who
I
in a
want to
salt
do
mine.
is I've other than Hutchison is probably the most consistent place I've ever been because my parents are from Hutchison. I have tons of family in Hutchison, and so we always went to Hutchison to see my grandparents quite frequently. And as much as I've been to Hutchison and know Hutchison, I've never been down in those salt mines. I keep thinking I'm going to go one of these days. So maybe we'll do that.
I've been there
we'll
maybe
plan it.
twice, and I've been down there.
Is that
I've
right?
never been to the salt mine either. Mines, plural.
There's only one that you.
It's one big mine.
Yeah, I've never.
Well,
been.
there's two.
There's two.
Mines
well, there's
down
one
there.
functional.
One that,
Yeah.
one. Well, they're not even either one of them functional anymore.
Do you know that Kansas is the only place in the U.S. that has a helium mine?
That's what I've heard,
I learned that on Trivia Crack.
and it's almost out of helium.
Where's it at? Do you know?
Is it named Bespin?
It's down in south central southwest Kansas. I can't remember exactly where, but
Interesting.
Bespin. But yeah, I
Did you
got
say hi to Lando?
like I said, I never saw him. He wasn't there.
that's right,
He,
you never saw
he
him.
hadn't showed up yet when I was over there getting Katrina's autograph. And then I said, well, I'll come back by and see. Because I thought, if the line is short, I could go up and chat with him real quick. That's free.
Yeah.
And I already have his autograph. And so I never made it back by to see if he had showed up. But I got there at just before noon. And the con had been open since like 9 or 10 a.m. So I thought, I wonder if something happened and he got delayed. Maybe he was decided to be a Sunday only. I don't know.
Maybe too much Colt 45 the night before.
I think he was there both days, but I seem to remember.
He might have been.
I saw somebody comment that he arrived in a limo, and apparently the Millennium Falcon's not good enough for him anymore.
My favorite Lando tweet was just talk to Billy D. He's just made a deal that'll keep the Empire out of there forever.
And it was nice to visit family too. So
Sounds like fun.
It was fun. It was a quick trip, just down a few hours, back. Should we move on to news?
Let's move on to news.
Okay.
We're going to start with some 10 o'clock news.
We were all dreading this part.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you've probably seen it circulating Facebook. John Hertz has been diagnosed with early stage of pancreatic cancer. So our thoughts and prayers are with him, and there's charities you can donate to help research pancreatic cancer.
And in true John Hurt fashion, he, acknowledged that he had it and he's going into treatment, but he refuses to alter his lifestyle or do anything differently because of it. He's not going to let it rule him. And,
Yeah.
I think that's admirable that's the way you kind of have to tackle these things.
Well, and cancer and death are never any good at any age, but he has lived a full life. He's 75 years old, so that's...
in his statement, he said, "I am undergoing treatment and am more than optimistic about a satisfactory outcome, as indeed is the medical team."
And the nice thing is we are in an advanced technological society where there are people that live and recover from, go into remission from cancer, so...
And I suppose in an absolute worst case scenario, he'll just turn into Christopher Eccleston.
That's a good way to put a spin on it. Nice spin on it.
Well, even he had a good attitude about it. In his statement, he also said, "I'm continuing to focus on my professional commitments and will shortly be recording Jeffrey Bernard is unwell. One of life's small ironies," he says.
That's pretty good.
So he's got a good sense of humor about it all. He can survive an alien. He can beat pancreatic cancer. Some other bit of news. If you watched the season finale of Orphan Black on BBC America...
Wait, is this going to be spoiler-filled?
No.
Okay, then go ahead.
There was a teaser for the next series of Doctor Who.
For the next season of Orphan Black.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this teaser. What did we confirm? Well, we confirmed the TARDIS will be in this season.
And
we
it will be
confirmed
fall.
that it's coming back to TV in the fall. That's about it.
I saw it online and I went, not for me. And it wasn't until you said it was on the...
It's BBC America.
Yeah, it was BBC America. It was on the season finale of Orphan Black. It is geared to the casual fan. It is geared to people that aren't steeped in the... They know that it comes back every fall, that they know that there's a season. They are not the people that keep constant contact with what's going on in the world of Doctor Who, both on air and off air.
Yeah.
And it's to grab those people that go, "Oh yeah, I watched that last series. I really like that. I'll look for it in the fall."
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting that it's BBC America, not BBC One.
It's not because BBC America has the money to put into making a teaser. And as you said, after Orphan Black, there's
as far as I'm aware, there's not much
until fall.
Yeah, because they had one that started up with Who last year. I don't think it's coming back, and I don't know. I have not heard any scuttle about any other new original programming coming from them. So it's a reminder to come back to BBC America. Yet.
So yay.
So that happened.
Who is good who.
It's kind of where you have to come down on those teasers. This is like, we knew it's a teaser. We knew it wasn't really going to give us anything. But at the same time, it's like, man.
But sometimes you see a teaser, and it just gets you all excited and giggly, and yay, it's coming back, and yay. And this one I watched, and I went, maybe I'm too connected. It just wasn't exciting. I mean, if they had even done something besides the TARDIS and the groaning, I mean, if they'd... I mean, when we saw the opening, with the clock spiral, that got me excited. When I saw a teaser that had kind of a little piece of that.
Yeah.
Just, or even just seeing Peter Capaldi for the first or second time, because we'd seen him in Time of the Doctor, but, third if you count his eyebrows. And when we saw him, and I think that was the first teasers, we saw like him in silhouette or something, and it was like, oh, no, yay.
Yeah.
This is the TARDIS. It's arguably the first thing we saw in Doctor Who. That's probably been around longer than anything in Doctor Who, and it's, besides maybe the opening titles, it's
the one constant.
Yeah, it's the one constant, Doctor. Even when it got fixed briefly and turned into a weird pillar and organ. Musical organ.
Yeah. It'd be really weird if it was another kind of organ. That's getting into the Magic School Bus territory right there. Other little bit of news. As you can tell, there's not a lot out there, so we're kind of digging. Sean Pertwee.
It's a slow news day.
You probably saw this also all over the social media. Became aware of a nice Photoshop job somebody's done of him from Gotham as his father, the Third Doctor. As his father, John
His
Pertwee.
dad's the Third Doctor?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know the Third Doctor had any kids.
He was on Earth a while.
Yeah. Always looking for the future Mrs. Doctor. Ex-Mrs. Doctor. Okay. So, yay.
And yes, he still looks like his dad.
Yep.
He does look like.
And so now, of course, everybody's all excited, saying, hey, when are we going to get that crossover Third Doctor, 12th Doctor episode? Stephen Moffat, go write that. And I'm going to be one of those people. Say, yes, Moffat, you should go write that.
There's a lot of times that this happens, and I think that's like a pipe dream right there to get something like that. But when Sean Pertwee's posting his own pictures of his Halloween costume last year,
yeah.
and then somebody photoshops this photo and he posts it, it almost makes me think, I think this is a guy that would be willing to do that.
I think he is.
He was in the Five-ish.
Yeah.
For like this long.
But he was there.
Five-ish Doctors.
Five-ish Doctors reboot. I kept wanting to say Fangirls. I was like, no, he wasn't on that show.
I'm sure they would love to have
They
him
would
on
love
the
to
show.
have him. We should see if we can get him.
All of that
absolutely.
long, but is Gotham still in question, or is it coming back?
It's coming back.
Okay,
yeah.
so
It's renewed for
we still got
season
that
2.
going. But
Are they changing the name to the Penguin?
No, because I think they're focused on somebody else now.
The Penguin Hour?
the Joker.
Hopefully not yet.
Fish, I know, is not going to be coming back, I don't think.
Sorry, I
don't know. I
I
watched it.
really liked what they were doing with that character at first. And then they just kept doing the same thing with that character.
And then they took
and
this
then they
weird
realized
turn.
that she was getting really dry and boring. So they decided to mix it up. And they did really something stupidly crazy with the character. And I went, that's not any better. And I thought, you know what? I'm already tired of Fish Mooney.
Unfortunately, they left it in a way.
I haven't seen the last 3.
Well, I won't spoil anything.
Okay.
But they left it in a way where it's Gotham. She could come back. But if they don't want to bring her back, it's not a big deal either.
Oh, good.
Come at me, Snow.
You could take it. Unlike Jon Snow, you could take it 2 ways.
I know as much about Gotham as I know about Buffy. I will throw that out there for you. So.
You got that one pegged.
But I got that one pretty well pegged, I think.
Yeah. I'd tell you, Gotham, yeah. I got to see the next 3 episodes, or 4 episodes, and I'll probably make a better summation. But Gotham started out not knowing what the heck it was going to be. Is it going to be a crime show? Is it going to be a superhero show? Is it going to be a crime show? Is it going to be a superhero show? And then finally when they decided, well, okay, we're going to try and be a superhero show because it's working over in the CW. They decided we're going to be a superhero show, and then they went cuckoo crazy with some things, and I went, okay.
They went over the top villain show.
It's got the same feeling as I have for Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
What were we talking about again? Oh, it was slightly Doctor Who related.
Doctor Who related. That was the end of news, I think.
One more bit of news.
Oh, there's not the end of news.
One more.
That
wasn't wait. That was yes. You're right. One more.
British Fest is coming
I
up.
expected him to
remember
yell
something else I
Eureka.
did this week. No, that's usually where I do that at.
British Fest is coming up very soon, and they have made a rather large guest announcement, in my opinion.
I agree.
He's not very big. He's kind of an average-sized guy.
He's buff.
He's bulky.
Oh,
But
he maybe used to be buff.
He's
I don't know
about
how
my
buff
height.
he is now.
He's tall.
he's about your height.
I'm tall.
You are tall.
You are tall. Adrian Paul is going to be there. For those that don't know,
So who's that?
he portrayed Duncan MacLeod
Of the Clan MacLeod.
in the Highlander TV show and subsequent movies.
Of which you really only need to watch 4.
Is that in-game?
That's Endgame.
Is that the one with both of them?
Yes. You can watch that one. Don't watch the
I
source.
tried
He
watching
was-
2 and it was bad.
Wait.
And that was
He
still-
was in 2 of them?
Yeah.
He was only in Endgame, wasn't he?
They ill-advisedly made a 5th one.
Oh, I did not know
I believe
that.
it went direct to video. I got mildly
Well-
excited, rented it,
Oh,
made it
Endgame
about
wasn't
20 minutes in, and
Highlander, the Source.
What is it?
The Source.
don't
The
watch the
Source.
source. Don't watch the source.
The first
And
one
he was a
really
voice
good.
in War of the Worlds, Goliath.
He was a voice in War of the Worlds Goliath.
And he was in the TV series.
The War of the Worlds TV series?
Uh-huh.
Really?
Yep. 20 episodes. John Kincaid. I just blew Sean's mind.
What?
Yep. According to IMDb.
He had short hair.
Well,
He would look completely different with short
He
hair.
does. He does. I've seen pictures of him in short hair. Look at John's grabbing his War of the Worlds TV series box set. Oh, look, there he is.
Wow, look how young he is.
I can be forgiven for not knowing that looking at that picture.
Yeah.
Holy shnikes!
Look at that. He does look young. He looks photoshopped there. Or airbrushed
And
there,
the
too.
no stubble is a...
I loved this show.
I've never watched that
How
show,
long ago
actually.
was this? Was the 80s? No.
88.
Oh, it was late 80s. Huh. Well, there you go.
89 to 90, according to IMDb.
Oh, yeah, it made it for a second season.
Oh.
It was one of those shows that ended on a cliffhanger. They went away for the summer. They came back, and everything had changed because apparently all of the action took place over the summer that we didn't get to see. And it was like, what happened to the format of this? It's not a good show, but I found it enjoyable because I'm a War of the Worlds nut. Wow, did not know. Well, now I'm torn. What do I have him sign, man?
Well, now you can get a War of the Worlds at British Fest and a Highlander at
How mind-blowing would he be if I walked up to the table with it?
He's at Kansas City
He's
Comic
at
Con,
Kansas City
too.
Comic Con as well.
Maybe I will be going to Kansas City Comic Con.
Oh, now you're interested. What do you think, Phil? I don't know, Gil.
I don't know, Gil. How about you, Jill? Well, I don't know.
38 seconds of the greatest movie. Just that whole scene. Keith's lost. He's
It sounds familiar, but I'm not placing it.
Muppets
Take
Take
Manhattan.
Okay, it's been so long since I've seen
Kermit's
that one.
lost his memory and he's working for the ad firm.
Okay, now it's coming back.
They're
yeah.
all frogs.
Yeah, okay.
And they all talk like this.
Oh, yeah.
How about this? Ocean Breeze soap will get you clean. Oh.
That's so simple. Just might work.
Ocean Breeze soap. It's just like taking a cruise, except there's no boat and you don't actually go anywhere. I love that movie.
It's been too long since I watched that one.
What's your name? Phil. Phil up. Phil up, Phil. Nice to meet you, Phil. I'm Jill. Or this is Bill.
And I'm Jill.
And I'm Jill.
Oh, the things that set us off.
That's it for news.
Our apologies to anybody who's not seen the Muppets Take Manhattan.
Spoilers. Kermit loses his memory. Thinks
you
he's an
know,
ad exec. Or actually he pretends to be an ad exec to get a job.
Because he's lost his memory.
No, he doesn't really pretend.
No, he just goes in there
he just-
looking for the job. And then when he says the ocean Soap, he gets you clean. That's brilliant.
It's a bit long.
Yeah.
When are we going to do our Muppets podcast? I feel like I'm ready for this now.
I'm telling you, we need to do a Muppets crossover. We could do it.
No, spoilers. That was all off mic, wasn't it? We didn't talk about that, did we?
I think it was off mic.
Spoilers.
We tweeted about it, though.
Did we?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's where it came about.
That's where it came
Friday
about,
night.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If you want to plan ahead, according to Kansas City... no, sorry, going back. According to Kansas City
You can find us at our website, which is www.muppetpodcast.com in the Vortex, /
Muppeting the Vortex.
The Vortex takes Manhattan.
Sounds like a Freddy novel.
According to
It
Kansas...
was Jason, wasn't it?
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
Jason.
Friday the 13th, Jason takes Manhattan.
I've never seen any of those, but I feel like I've got them pegged pretty well.
The first one's good.
Second
The
one's
rest,
good, too.
I don't remember the second
Second one's
very
good,
well.
too. Third one's... Fourth one... We're done. We're done doing movies. Fifth one... Nope. Guess who's back? Sixth one... Okay, this is going to get a little squirrely because we're going to go take Manhattan. Seventh one... Oh, he's got a sister.
No, 7 is Manhattan, isn't it?
Oh, 7 is Manhattan.
6 must have been...
6 was the sister. 7 was Manhattan.
Final chapter.
8 was the final chapter.
Oh, no?
Then,
Yes.
then which one does he go to hell? 9?
Oh, no. Final chapter was 4. 5 was New Beginning. 6 was... This is the
No,
one I
you're
can't remember.
cross-pollinating now. New Beginnings is a Freddy.
No.
No, that's New Nightmares.
Oh, New Night. You're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
the
you're
New
right.
Beginning.
You're right. Okay.
That's because they went, oh, guess who's back? Because
Back
somebody
again.
else was pretending to be Jason. And then 8 was Jason Goes to Hell. I was final chapter.
What was 9?
There was no... Well, Freddy versus Jason is technically...
Well,
no,
Jason X.
no,
Because
you're
this is
right.
Jason X is
Jason
10.
X is 10. So
'Cause the-
Jason Goes to Hell was 9.
Because Jason X is basically
Yeah.
Jason in space.
Right, exactly. That's what
It's
it is.
okay. He just wants his machete back.
It's Friday the 13th in space. I'm missing one in there. What was 8? So maybe 8 was... Maybe I'm misnumbered. Maybe 8 was Jason Takes Manhattan. Because it seems like that was the last one before Jason Goes to Hell.
Well, after you take Manhattan, where else are you going to go?
He's in town with a few days to kill.
I used to know. I used to watch... I used to be huge into horror movies when I was a kid.
I was never a big Jason.
You were huge in horror movies when I first met you.
Yeah. Well, not huge, but I was still into them pretty big. I was huge when I was in high school. Man, I'd seen everything I could see. I don't know why. And I detest horror films now.
Well, they stopped.
Unless they're
being
from
good.
the 80s. I watch them and they're on TV and I go, why did I think this was so scary and gory?
The problem with horror movies now is Scream ruined it and Saw ruined it.
Yeah, I really think that the last good horror film was Scream. Honestly.
Because Saw is not a horror film.
Nope.
Psychological thriller.
Yep.
Oh, 3D is the one I missed. It's Friday the 13th, Friday the 13th, Part 2. Friday the 13th, Part 3, 3D. Friday the 13th, Final Chapter. Friday the 14th, New Beginning.
Oh, okay.
Jason Lives. Friday the 13th, Part 6 was Jason Lives. That's the one where he comes back. Oh, guess who's back? New Beginning was the guy that pretended that he was Jason. Friday the 13th, Part 7 was the... It's cutting it off.
That's got to be Chase Manhattan.
No,
Well, that's got to be the sister one.
that is the sister one.
Oh, then it's 8 is Manhattan.
New Blood. That's why. It was the sister.
It's the sister.
Number 7. 8 was Jason Takes Manhattan. 9 was Goes to Hell. 10 was Jason X, which is
And
Jason
then
10.
it was.
And then
Or then
Freddy
Freddy
versus
versus
Jason.
Jason.
Yeah.
Or Jason versus Freddy. Freddy versus Jason.
I wonder if we'll ever get Freddy versus Jason versus Ash.
They talked about doing it.
They're still talking about doing it.
Line
Well,
Cinema has
now
all
that they're bringing back Ash in this
In the
TV
Evil Dead
series.
series.
Yeah. Who knows?
I read
They could do it as an episode. I mean,
when I read Bruce Campbell's book, one of the things that when they first approached him about it, would you be amicable for this? And he said, yeah, but I have to win
I'm a good guy.
because I can't come back like the other guys can. Our apologies to anybody who doesn't care about the Friday the 13th series.
This is one of those shows, guys.
I'm sorry.
Email your comments at Glenn.
Glenn at travelingthevortex.com.
3D. Forgot all about 3D, and then Jason Lives, the other one I was missing.
Sean, if you want to plan ahead, Kansas City Comic Con says Adrian Paul's autograph is $35.
That's downright affordable.
Yeah, that's
30 on a something you provide.
Caitlin's was 30. Caitlin Laws was good. I'm happy with 30. 30's good.
30's a good price.
Would you see Adrian Paul's in one of the Friday the 13th? No,
I
just
didn't.
kidding.
Nice try.
Good try.
Well, I melted Mel's brain when I pointed out the guy with the blue mohawk in Terminator. I was like, you know who that guy is? No. That's Bill Paxton. What? Oh my God, it is!
Are we getting ready to do that? Are we done with the news?
We're done with news.
Can I do it?
Sure.
Set me up.
Now it's time for our Doctor Who legacy.
Tip of the week.
Thank you, Kermit.
Oh, it's Phil, but okay.
Okay.
Same thing.
I think we'll be doing this whole tip as Kermit the Frog. That was terrible. I don't know what was doing there.
Are you going to put the echo on that one?
Frog here with our tip of the week.
Yay! So, I was thinking, this is kind of a weird tip, but I was thinking this week we had this wonderful present from the Doctor Who Legacy group where we had 175 experience in the fan area.
Maxed out like 7 characters this week.
And it's like, you know, happy, happy, joy, joy, happy, happy, joy. And as I was going through, watching my little meters go, bing, 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 because I took a whole crew of ones in and went, all right. You know? And I began to think about this, and I'm on the fence as to whether or not the extra experience is a good thing. Because I have, you know me, I like to hoard. I'll have to back up to 42 crystals.
Films? Yes.
I hoard a lot of things, but I'm back up to 42
Autographs?
crystals.
Yes.
And I like my time fragments, and I've hit this plateau where I've unlocked so many characters that I've used all of my time fragments to level these people up. And now I'm stuck in this cycle of basically just playing enough to farm to get a whole bunch more fragments just for the point of upgrading them so that I can farm some more to get more fragments to upgrade the next batch. And when they give us 150, 175 experience, you level up so fast that you're perpetuating that cycle, that you're really kind of stuck. I mean, it's great. Don't get me wrong. It's fantastic that we're able to... There's a bug in here. Go get it, Phil.
Delicious.
But, I mean, it's fantastic that we're able to level that up as quickly as you can, but I almost wonder if it's not detrimental. Because what I found is with this team of ones that I went in with, they leveled up so fast, I never really got the opportunity to use any of their special abilities and play with them and kind of find out who works with what. It was just a matter of go in, beat up the bad guy, and get my experience and get out. And, increase everybody in rank, and all right. And then we moved on to the next one, and they went in, beat up the bad guy. So I have no idea how I'm going to fit these people on any of my real teams. And so it's kind of it's a cautionary tale of, make sure you don't get wrapped up in the moment and you really utilize all these people. Because if they're going to give us a cast of 180 characters, it would be kind of nice to
unless you're like me and you've done everything you possibly can and you have used a lot of your characters and you've gone, I'd just like to have him to have 2 gems so that I can use him in a team with his attack. Then I max him out.
Sure, no. I don't mean that. I just mean from the standpoint that because, and it's probably different for you and Time Lord Ben, because you guys are at the point now where it's like, you're actively searching for those new teams to put together and trying to find a new angle on it.
Right.
But for those of us that are still playing, I'm
up
to
433
stars and stuff. That I feel like I'm stuck in this cycle where I'm trying to get everybody leveled up before I go and attack the next wave of story arc. And I'm just kind of spinning my wheels there because I get just enough time crystals or fragments to upgrade a bunch of people, and then they give me 175 experience, and everybody gets upgraded, and then I have to go get more fragments because I'm out. So I'm just kind of keep doing that. So, I don't feel like I got I got the experience. I don't feel like I got the experience. So a cautionary tale of plan your binging appropriately. And that's my probably not very good Doctor Who legacy.
Tip of the week.
Yay! A side note is if you haven't logged in recently, apparently Craig Owens was named the best Doctor Who legacy dad.
Yay, Craig!
So,
Congratulations, Craig.
Fitting into our show theme this week.
Congratulations.
Well, let's move on to...
Kind of angry that we didn't know about that. I would have... I didn't
know there was a poll.
I didn't know there was a poll. I would have pimped the poll. Said, hey, go vote. And while you're there, come listen to us. But no.
First up in feedback, Brenda writes. Sorry, Sean gave me a weird look and ran away. Checking in. Dear Vortex Gang, I know it has been ages since I checked in, but I generally have little to add to the critiques of the shows, books, and audio stories that you cover. I usually have not seen, read, or heard the stories, but to your great credit, I still listen to the entire podcast and find it very enjoyable.
Aw, thank you, Brenda.
It's a lot like sitting around the table with good friends and enjoying their conversation, even though I don't know what they're talking about. I'm glad you still enjoy us. Even when I have seen a show, I realize that I experienced Doctor Who like a 5-year-old. At that age, children are open to all the possibilities, and their ability to suspend disbelief is at its strongest. I have noted previously, if I can accept the premise that a police box is a time machine and a Time Lord can regenerate, then there is little I need to challenge any... Then there is little that I need to challenge in any plotline. The moon is an egg? Sure, why not? A mummy soldier on the space-traveling Orient Express? Sounds plausible to me. My main criteria for judging the quality of a show is if it emotionally moves me, and since that is just my opinion, it's not something that would be interesting to anyone but myself. I don't know, Brenda. I think there are some times that we don't explore the emotional aspect of the stories, that it would be interesting to hear that side of it.
Oh, I would agree. I would totally agree.
That being said, I do have a few responses to things that have been said on the show in the past several months.
Uh-oh.
First of all...
This is going to be aimed at me, isn't it?
Not limited to pronouncers.
First of all, Sean. I so empathize with you in having your bouts of memory loss.
Aw.
I used to stroke, excuse myself, and I can also claim chemo brain and old age. There are huge paths of lost memory throughout my head, and it both frustrates and fascinates me. I just trust others when they remind me of something I did or said, but have no memories of.
I wish I could trust these two, Brenda.
I was about to say... Unfortunately, we like to remind Sean of things that he thought he forgot. He really didn't. Had no memory of it because he didn't do that.
I'm starting Memento, where I'm going to tattoo Doctor Who facts on my arms that I'm convinced of. The first one is Easter Saturday, but
regardless of if they're real or not.
Yeah, I know. I talked about that. Where is that one?
She continues, I congratulate Keith and Sarah on your new home. I expect it will only be a few months before we start getting gutter and light bulb stories from you as well as Glenn. Well, I already did one light bulb story, so we're on the way. When you can rattle off the pros and cons of fescue versus centipede grass, or whatever grass grows in the Midwest, you'll know you'll have arrived as a homeowner.
We have a lot of crabgrass, I think, around here.
Bermuda grass.
I got a lot of clover in my front yard.
Yeah, me too.
And the
that's not grass, that's a weed.
I know.
The ever popular not grass.
Here's the way I look at it. Hey, my lawn's green.
And I don't have to mow it very much. That's predominantly what the front yard is.
It's nice and soft.
We actually planted some daylilies, and something's eating them. Planted some yellow ones, and the flower's just gone right off the stem. And the other yellow ones getting eaten.
Our daylilies are getting
clear at the opposite ends of the garden.
Our daylilies
are getting reds that aren't getting touched.
Ours are getting knocked off by the wind. Just the head will go.
There's no head anywhere.
I don't think I would have pegged you as a daylily person.
Sarah like them.
Really?
They're pretty.
They're easy to grow too. They come back on their own every year.
Yeah, that's what we're going for right now. Is easy.
Okay.
That's what we did to start.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, absolutely. It's quick. It's easy.
Every year flowers are called
perennial.
Why?
Because they perennially...
Why isn't
that's what perennial
Why
means.
isn't it
That
an
means
annual?
secular. It means it comes up every year. Annual because you have to plant them yearly.
Annual means you have to do it.
I know it's weird because you think like an annual event is an event. But you still have to plant still have to plan and design that annual event. It's
have to
not an
make the event
anniversary.
happen.
It's annual. It happens annually because you make it happen every year.
Ah,
That's annual.
that's weird. Okay.
Perennial is cyclical. That essentially, like you said, that's what it means.
Unfortunately, one of the flowers I want to plant in the backyard is an annual, so
What is it?
we're going to build up to it. My grandma called it a naked lady.
Oh, yeah. Mel used to have naked ladies before the guy threw concrete at them.
I just want it in the backyard for my grandma because it was one of her things. So
It's an iris, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, it's a form of iris.
Yeah.
I can never remember what the official name of it is.
Oh, that's the one that has the two that come up and then the one that folds down the front?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That sounds right.
Mel had those and she had stargazers. She was really, really big on lilies. So you go to her for pointers.
Okay, yeah. Well, we've been talking to my dad about it.
We went from light bulbs to plant bulbs, but okay.
She was talking about garden grass stuff, so it counts.
Wait, I've got an idea. Light bulb.
Can we plant light bulbs?
What
Because
what would those grow?
if I could grow my own lamps, I could save a lot of money.
Yeah.
Especially these phosphorescent ones that we have
I
to buy
know,
now
the
that are so
curlicues.
expensive. Although they do last longer, so.
Balances out, but it's still...
So we drew ourselves right into talking about light bulbs.
Brenda, I'm going to blame you for that one.
She continues. Glenn, please give my congratulations to Holly on passing her boards and becoming an RN. My mom was a nurse, and she worked her entire career in nephrology and urology. So when you mentioned that was what Holly did previously, it brought home all sorts of memories of our discussions around the dinner table when Mom would talk about her day at work. No weak stomachs in our family. I'm sure Holly will fulfill in oncology as well. When I was going through my 18 months of chemotherapy, it was the nurses who helped me keep my sanity and my hope.
Well, thank you very much. I will pass that along. And yes, Holly is looking forward to it. I think she feels it'll be very rewarding to be able to go into that
I bet
career,
it would be.
or that path in her nursing career.
And she says, and finally, I have a confession to make. Back when Sean went to Galley and was having his report, he kept pronouncing John Barrowman's name as Barrowman. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like wheelbarrow.
Yeah.
It's Barrowman.
It's Barrowman.
Barrowman.
Barrowman. Initially, I just let it go and told myself it wasn't a big deal. But as the name kept occurring in the report, I started gritting my teeth. Finally, my tolerance abandoned me, and I screamed at my radio. I was listening with Bluetooth in my car. It's Barrowman, for God's sake. Like a wheelbarrow. Please get it right once. And that was the exact moment when Glenn corrected the pronunciation with a comment in the order of, we don't want to drive Brenda crazy. Busted!
I can just sense it.
I promise to continue to work on my tolerance.
I'm watching your back, Brenda.
We try, Brenda. We try our best.
I'll have to admit, I still say Barrowman every once in a while. Barrowman.
Barrowman.
Well,
I have to
what
stop
Brenda
and think
doesn't
about
realize in the Midwest, we call them wheelbarrows.
That's true.
Because you borrow them from your neighbor.
It's got a wheel, and I borrow it.
You homeowners will learn that now.
I'm going to need one soon.
You're going to need one soon.
You got lava rock to get rid of. She says, so that's my check-in for the week. I thank you for the shout-out for my Patreon pledge.
Yes.
It's the least I can do to thank you for putting out such a fun podcast that brings me all sorts of happiness. I challenge all listeners to set up a recurring pledge through the Patreon. It's so easy to do. Even with a $5 a month, will add up to $60 for the year. I'm happy to help support the show. Excuse me. And I hope you guys have a great week. Brenda in Atlanta.
Thank you very much, Brenda.
Thank
for
you
the
very,
kind
very
words
much, Brenda.
and the challenge to everyone, because it certainly does help, and it helps keep this podcast on the airwaves, even though we're not on the airwaves or on the internet, but still, as Sean would say, on the airwaves.
And we should also thank Brittany, who just started pledging to us.
Brittany has. She started, right? She didn't
I believe
up a
so.
pledge. Okay,
I thought she upped it, but
I thought
maybe I'm
she
wrong.
upped it too, but
I'm not sure.
either way, Brittany, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Yeah.
Your
Regardless.
your continued support will allow me to buy a thesaurus and a pronunciation guide.
We can justify that too, because it would be for the show. Pronunciation and an atlas.
Yes.
we'll get a book of geography next.
Maybe a globe.
A history book. I don't know. There's all kinds of things in the works.
Famous kings of England.
This CD quality copy of Bagpipe's Greatest Hits.
Our next bit of feedback comes from Chrissy.
Is it this one? It is this one. Cool. Chrissy writes, "The dads of who?" I had a joke there and it escaped me. Dear Vortex boys. Who's on first? No, that wasn't it. First of all, happy Father's Day to all three of you. Yes, I'm wishing you all a happy day because you guys all have kids in your lives that you influence regularly. You talk about them all and often on the podcast, which I love hearing about. So I hope you had a fantastic day. Okay, the dads of Doctor Who. Seems like just a year ago, we 5-ish fangirls were talking about fandom dads as well. Oh, wait, it was. But it's nice to focus on the ones in Doctor Who. I've thought of a few from Classic Who in particular. Maybe some that aren't quite as well known. Dr. Edwin Waterfield, who is Victoria Waterfield's father, Victoria being a companion of the second Doctor. While Dr. Waterfield is only in one story that's mostly missing, he's still an important character for Victoria. Everything he does with the Daleks is to protect his daughter, and he risks his life to save her. And in Tomb of the Cybermen, Victoria is missing her father, and the Doctor helps her through her grief with that wonderful speech about remembering your family when they're no longer with you. When I watch stories with the first Team TARDIS, I often think of how much the dynamic between the team reflects a family, with Ian Chesterton in there as the team dad of a sort. Ian always looks out for everybody and is very protective of Barbara Susan and the Doctor, but he's also kind of goofball too. You boys haven't reviewed The Chase yet, but I hope you guys will show Keith the version where Ian does his very best and very worst dad dancing to a certain pop group that gained popularity in the 60s. It's glorious.
That was difficult to find.
After Ian and Barbara left,
Stateside, anyway.
Steven Taylor kind of filled in that fatherish role for Vicky later on, but he was more of an older brother, I thought. Although in Big Finish, there is a story where we meet Steven's daughter, and he tells her about traveling with the Doctor. It's the companion chronicle, The War to End All Wars. But I think the main dad in Classic Who is the Doctor, just not in every incarnation. I don't think the fourth Doctor is very father-like, but that's just me. The first Doctor is certainly that sweet and spiky grandfather type that everyone loves once you get to know him. The third Doctor and Jo certainly have that father-daughter dynamic down. My 5e almost has no choice but to be the overwhelmed dad who has to referee bickering kids in the TARDIS. But he's also a very loving and comforting figure when the occasion calls for it. See the end of Snake Dance with Tegan. 6e's fatherly traits come out more in Big Finish more than anything else. But there are some moments in Trial of a Time Lord session where his and Perry's relationship has clearly reached a turning point. In New Who, there are tons of fantastic dads. Pete Tyler, Brian Williams, Craig Owens, Wilfred Mott. Even the one-off dads are great. There's the dad in Night Terrors who's really sweet, and Peter Capaldi's character in The Fires of Pompeii is always a fun one to watch. Of the 4 Doctors we've had in New Who, I think 12 is the one that comes off closest to being a father figure type, although 11 had some moments of dadness, especially when there were kids involved. While 12 is scary at times, he also has that twinkle that harkens back to the first Doctor, especially when it comes to Clara. I'm thinking of that scene in Dark Water, where Clara has tried to force the Doctor to save Danny, and the Doctor, while acknowledging that Clara has let him down, says, "Do you think I care for you so little that betraying me would make a difference?" That, I think, is a pretty good summation of what being a parent is. And I say this without ever being a parent myself. Even when the kids do disappointing things, you still love and take care of them when they have troubles. And in that episode, Claire is in the middle of one of her greatest troubles of her life. And she turns to the Doctor, even this older, grouchy, and spiky man who is very different from the man he was when they first met. I don't know, I just love their relationship. Anyway, those are my very disjointed and rambly thoughts about dads and Doctor Who. I look forward to hearing others' thoughts later. Bye for now. Chrissy.
Thank you, Chrissy.
Thank you, Chrissy.
I'm glad she brought up a lot of classic ones, because I was struggling to think of some.
Huh.
Our last bit of feedback comes from Holly.
And Holly writes, "Hey guys, Glenn, happy birthday. Hope you had a great day." I did, and thank you very much. This is a very cool topic, with it being Father's Day weekend. The list of fathers and father-type figures is pretty good, and here's a few I thought of. The Doctor. I really do hope that somewhere down the line we get a little more backstory on the Doctor and his children. We know that he's a great-grandfather to Susan, and he does a great job in the paternal role, as well as with some of the younger companions that he's traveled with, of course, over the years. On the topics of grandfathers, let's not forget Donna's grandfather, Wilf. He was his granddaughter's cheerleader the whole way through. He kept an eye out for the TARDIS for her, even had an encounter with the Doctor before even realizing who the Doctor was. I also think it was quite a lot. I also think it says quite a lot that the Doctor would be proud if Wilf was his dad. Another dad to mention is that of Roy Williams' dad, Brian. Yet another to travel in the TARDIS and get to know the Doctor. He takes things very well in stride and wants to be the best for his son and his daughter-in-law. Well, I'll wrap it up here, and I'd like to wish Happy Father's Day to all the father and father figures out there. I hope that you had a great day. Looking forward to hearing everyone's thoughts on this topic. Holly from Wisconsin. Thank you, Holly.
Thank you, Holly. And that's it for feedback.
What are we reviewing this week?
Dads and Doctor Who.
Oh, right. I forgot.
Not so much of a review as a topic of discussion.
Yes. I think it was a good idea as a topic of discussion, too.
Well, thank you.
You could start us off, Sean.
Oh, bother. I put a lot of thought into this week. I did. For about 5 minutes. No. Yes.
Last minute bit of feedback that I'm only going to read part of.
Yes.
Because it's only relevant for this one part. It comes from Eric. And he says, "Hey guys, happy Father's Day." He wasn't going to send in full feedback, but he sent in a tip, which we're going to use next week.
Okay.
And then he says, "That's it. Oh, what the hell. Best father in Doctor Who? I'll go for one that's probably no one picked. Sergeant Tom Osgood from the Damons."
Demons.
Demons.
On the heels.
I know.
Brenda's pronouncer.
He says goodnight.
Okay, wait a minute.
So Sergeant Tom Osgood from
Is
the
that
Demons.
presuming that he is Osgood's father?
I guess so.
Did he have a daughter in?
We don't know. Not that I remember, but
I
that
guess
doesn't necessarily mean
presuming that
anything.
that was Osgood's actual father, then yeah. Nobody brought up the Brigadier either. Go ahead, Sean.
Well, that's where I was stuck at when we first said, "Hey, let's do this. I think it'll be fun." And then the wheels began spinning, and it was like, all right, so who have we got? And as Chrissy pointed out, there are tons of really good dads in New Who. I mean, that's kind of become a pretty stable family dynamic that we keep running into people. And yeah, those are easy. And I thought, okay, well, I want to tackle something. Because, I mean, anybody. Craig. Craig's great.
Oh, yeah.
Brian's great. Rory apparently turns out to be pretty great after you watch the PS. So we've got these great fathers.
I think Rory would have still been a good, even. We don't get to see it, but what we do get to see of him being a father to River, I think he does a pretty good job.
Yeah, Rory is a
yeah. Oh
is a
yeah,
father.
yeah, that's true.
It's just
I'd
so out
forgotten
of
about
order
that.
and so weird that he's not a traditional father.
He's not a traditional father, no. Well, and then he adopted anyway, so I guess it would still technically make him a non-traditional father. But there's so many good ones. I thought I want to do some classic ones, and my first thought was the Brigadier. But then I had to break it down, and it's like, well, he was a great father figure at work. Because I kind of, even though he's the commanding officer, I kind of do see him as the, mother hen, in a way, of this unit group, this unit family. Even more so than the doctor. He's just kind of there, and he's there to be stern and punishment-wise when they need it, and the little slap on the wrist and that kind of thing. But he's also there for the pats on the back and the, I can't necessarily say I see him, tossing the ball with Benton in the backyard, but, but he's there. But then we get to Downtime. Is that the one we reviewed?
Uh-huh.
Downtime. And we kind of find that, well, he's got a whole family thing that we didn't really know about and he wasn't really there for because of the job. And it's kind of like,
It's one of those things where he's a great man, but not necessarily a great father.
Right.
Because he's the absent father.
Yeah.
Because he's so busy with work.
And obviously Kate revered him greatly on the new series. And, we revere him because he's a great man. But is he necessarily a great father if he's not there? So then I kind of had to back away from that one. So then I started thinking, okay, well, who else have we got? And there's really not a lot of...
I thought of one that... but it's one we haven't seen, so I don't know how good he is. Nissa's dad. Because what little I know of that story, I know Nissa's dad's in it.
Yeah.
I probably know more than Sean would want me to know.
You're handling the Forbidden Scrolls, Keith.
I didn't say anything because I thought, am I supposed to say anything? I always get dirty looks from Sean. Yelling spoilers.
As long as you don't spoil that part of it, I think you're okay to comment on the man's character.
Big Finish already hasn't spoiled for me.
I think you're all right to comment on. I honestly don't remember how much Nissa's dad's in that episode, and I believe they had a pretty good relationship. I think you're right. I think he.
Well, just from the fallout from the stories we've heard from Big Finish, it sounds like they had a good relationship.
Yeah. No,
back me up on that one because I genuinely don't remember.
No, I certainly. Yeah, no, I think. Without giving too much of the story away, I think that he fell into that. He was misguided in the way that society was being driven and how the formation of their government or society all of them were, though. They were all guilty of the machinations that were going. It wasn't even machinations. It was just guilty of the traditions. He was a very good father. He was a very good family man, I think, for Nissa. He obviously raised her well. She was very smart, proper. She had a lot of great attributes, and I think that you can attribute those to the way she was raised. He had faults on another side, which we'll tackle when we review the story. But, yeah, as far as a family man, I think he was a very good father to Nissa.
Unfortunately, I kept kind of going down this road where every time I came up with a potential classic series candidate, it was like, no. and kind of some oddball ones maybe that crept in there as well. Because I joked about Davros not being on the list, and he's father of the Daleks, but too possessive. He, a little psychotic. Kind of
Helicopter father.
We've got forgetting all of my notes now. I should have wrote these down.
Sorry.
But yeah, every time I came up with one, I was like, no, he kind of caused a genocide. No, and there really aren't. And I think part of it is just the differences in television from then and now. And I finally kind of decided that this is going to sound really, really strange, and I hesitate to even go there. But Frobisher from Children of Earth, from Torchwood.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because he was very dedicated to his family. He was very dedicated to his children. To the extent that, I'm willing to sacrifice your kids to save mine.
Yeah.
That's pretty hardcore. And does that make him a good person? No. But is he a good parent? Yeah, I think maybe at least up until the end. But then that was the next problem I ran into. It was like, oh yeah, there's that part. So tell me more about your picks, because I got stuck. I was like,
I really couldn't think of much classic Who aside from the Brig and Mrs. Father. Every person I could come up with was pretty much new series from Wilf and Craig and obviously Brian. I think Brian's probably my top choice, with Craig as a close second. But even like Martha's dad, there's so much focus more on her mom than her dad, especially in that time. Pete's another good example of, we get a lot of Jackie, but not a whole lot of Pete. Granted, he's dead, but still, there's just so little bit of it. It seems that it's not until Moffat took over that the dads became more prominent. We focus much more on the moms.
That's true. In
RTD's era.
I went with the Brigadier as well, and I'm going to take a little different shine or spin to it, because I think Downtime showed us that the surprise is that we learned that the Brigadier has a daughter and a grandson, and he wasn't there for much of their lives. And I think the separation between Kate and the Brigadier early on was a two-sided thing. I think that the Brigadier was so involved in work that it spurned Kate, and she was even more so spurned when his first wife left because of the fact that he was so involved with work. On the flip side, part of that is her fault for not reaching out or understanding why, because she couldn't. It was so secretive. Yeah. And it is Downtime that really brings that understanding between the two of them, that he was a father that wasn't there enough.
Yeah.
And she was a daughter who couldn't understand why he had to be doing what he was doing. And so much so that she isolated his grandson from him. And at the end, he ultimately stops the intelligence because of the fact that the intelligence is going to turn Kate into a Yeti. That's why that he saves the day in that sense, and his motivation is the fact that his daughter is in mortal danger. So that right there makes him a wonderful father, and he saves her in the way that he was always protecting the world from all of the alien invasions and all of the supernatural things that were going on. He was doing his job to save everyone, and this time it was to save his daughter. So it was in the same vein, and she understands that and learns that, and their relationship actually gets better. Even more so to the point that when he clears her name with UNIT, she actually goes on to work for UNIT and become head as scientific advisor. So at one point, he's redeemed in her eyes, enough so that he suddenly becomes very admired by her, and she continues to follow in his footsteps in a very different way, because she's not militaristic, she's scientific. Yeah. But so I think that retroactively or ultimately makes him a great father. Unfortunately, they had misgivings and mistakes in their relationship up to a certain point, but she obviously reveres him, and his portrait's even on the plane, in UNIT's plane. Yeah. And I don't get the impression it's because of his officer status. I think it's because she intentionally made sure that portrait was placed there. So I think that despite what we learn early in Downtime, it does ultimately redeem the Brigadier as a good father, because he had to keep what he was doing secret and to keep his family safe. And so, unfortunately,
it's not necessarily ultimately what we learn in Downtime. It's actually, in putting it that way, it kind of, Downtime becomes the missing piece that we needed to
help.
Because not only did it set it up that there was this estrangement, but it also set up the key to fixing it, because it opened that door.
It did open
she was
the
able
door.
to now see that, this
when
is
she's
why.
Suddenly involved. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I agree. But also, I think because he was doing what needed to be done to protect his family as well, he was still being a good father in that sense. Unfortunately, it had to shut off other aspects of the father which distanced them and did make them estranged. I think ultimately I go back to, despite what we'll probably learn from Lungborough on how the Time Lord genealogy works, I think that Chrissy and I think Holly both pointed this out, that I think the Doctor, while in certain incarnations aren't necessarily that father figure, I agree that I think as a grandfather, ultimately you're very loving and protective of your children and your grandchildren. And that's what he is to Susan in the beginning. He's very protective. He does not want the teachers on board.
Almost overly protective.
He wants to run away because he's ultimately protecting himself and his granddaughter. He's protecting them from anything. And unfortunately, he's overprotective, as you just said, and almost smothering her to the fact that she wants to kind of break away a little bit. And, she wants some normalcy. She wants to stay on Earth. She wants to do those kind of things. But I think he kind of grows and learns from that. And he grows as a grandfather, I think, even to the point where he lets her go because he understands that that's the best thing for her. That, excuse me.
Not that I want to know, because I don't. But I almost wonder if is it possible that maybe the Doctor is, in a way, atoning for a mistake, or what he sees as a mistake, that maybe in raising his child that he wasn't protective enough and something happened, and when he took stewardship of Susan, that he kind of swung the other direction, that I'm not going to make that mistake again, and that we kind of see that in those first, 10, 16 10 episodes that she's in, or 10 serials that she's in, where he's kind of to learn to cut those apron strings in a way.
Everybody out there that's read the New Adventures are screaming, going, it doesn't work that way.
Probably not. But,
but then again, that's also considered sidesteps, so not necessarily within the canon continuity, so it really depends on your point of view. But that is a nice theory as to the history there.
But like I said, I don't know that I want to know.
Yeah. And I would have to agree that I think that the second Doctor is very fatherly to both Victoria and Jamie.
Oh, yeah.
And even though I think he and Jamie have more of a buddy relationship, he is very fatherly in a lot of the explanations. He's a very teaching man. He wants to explain. He wants to give explanations and explain consequences and explain the science of things. And even in his delivery is very fatherly with both of the companions. Maybe a little less so with Polly and Ben, because that dynamic is a little different because they were only there for a short time, and we haven't reviewed a lot of their particular stories because there's not a lot of them in existence, but they had kind of a different relationship at first because they were the first ones to go through that change. So maybe not so much there, but I really get that kind of, at times we get that fatherly aspect from the second Doctor. The third Doctor is almost back to that protective grandfather in a way. Not so much with Liz, but especially with
more
Joe.
So with Joe. Yeah.
It's almost, you almost go to that more older, experienced uncle with them, which in a way can still be kind of a father figure,
and still kind of carries over then with
Sarah Jane. Absolutely, I think very much so. I agree that the fourth Doctor is probably the most removed from being a father because the fourth Doctor at times can be very reckless, and I don't see that as a fatherly aspect. He has a relationship with his companions that I think is very different than other companions. I think when the Doctor is very ready for the companions to kind of take care of themselves. I think he identifies that the companions can take care of themselves most of the time. I think that's why a lot of times you see a split up of the companions and the Doctor in the fourth Doctor's era, because a lot of times I think he's, even especially with Romana, he's on level with her as far as them being from the same race. I mean, she is quite younger than him, but they are from the same Time Lord race. Sarah Jane, I think, is more of a brotherly, sisterly type relationship.
Absolutely.
I've always said that. And then I think Leela, I think it's more of a teacher-student relationship and not necessarily a father. So I'll skip past the Fourth Doctor, even though I dwelled there longer than I thought. I agree with Chrissy's.
It's kind of interesting, though, that he winds up taking on a child near the end of his run.
With Adric, absolutely. Yeah. Although, in that essence, he doesn't want Adric around. He didn't want Adric to come along. It was really Romana was more of a motherly figure in that situation. And by the time things really got anywhere with Adric, he regenerated. Sorry, I can't remember what the word was. He regenerated at that point. So, yeah, ironically enough, the least fatherly one is the first one that gets a very young companion at that time. And I completely agree with Chrissy, and I didn't even really think about it until now that being the arbitrator between the bickering of the companions within the TARDIS, you really do feel like that fatherly responsibility of making sure that, everybody gets along, not everybody's fighting, you're controlling the situations. Ironically enough, I don't see much fatherly in, it's not ironic, but Colin Baker at all. No. Even his relationships, I think, with Perry and Mel were more of with he and Perry, it was very spiky at first. I think
they were more of a bickering old couple.
Exactly, but I think they grow to appreciate each other by Trial of Time Lord. And I don't necessarily I think Chrissy kind of sensed more of a fatherly figure there. I think that's the closest thing to it, but it's almost more like a respectful relationship between them. And then he and Mel, to me was always kind of just there's not much there, but other than unless you allude to Big Finish, there's more. And I think I agree that Colin Baker could seem more fatherly in the Big Finish audios than he does on any of the televised stuff. And then we go back again to the Seventh and Ace. I don't see a father-daughter relationship there either. I see a student-teacher relationship there.
Very much so there.
We don't think we get that with the Eighth Doctor at all. And then, of course, when 9 comes on the scene, I really felt when they started that it was more of a father-daughter, older man, younger person, even maybe the protective uncle rose, until we started going down the line of the relationship aspect. And then you have to step away from that when 10 comes around because you're like, no, that's way too weird to think of it that way in any way. But something that we forgot to mention is that the Doctor, presuming he was a father at least once because he had presumably had a child that had Susan because he had a granddaughter, he has another daughter, Jenny, which isn't necessarily the traditional father-daughter situation. It's almost like, even though it's a clone copy, in the way, it's almost like the daughter that shows up that was the love child from 30 years ago. You're like, you don't know what to do with them. You have no bond or relationship with them other than DNA. And he's actually very put off by the fact that she's almost put off with the fact that she exists, because it wasn't his choice. It wasn't it was all situational. He didn't, and he's very abrasive and aggressive at her. But where the fatherly part comes in is when she puts herself in front of the bullet for him, and she ends up, dying. Well, we think she dies.
He thinks she dies.
At that point, you see that absolute unconditional love come in at the end. And there's that real emotional scene where he's overwhelmed by it, and he realizes that even in this short span of time, he didn't really get to know her, and you've seen it. So it's very touching, and I think from being a father, it's very. I've never had that sort of relationship with a child in the span of 30 minutes, but I can understand that emotion that would happen in that situation.
Well, then jumping forward to 11, there are moments where he is very fatherly towards Amy, and then there are moments where they're more like brother and sister.
Yeah,
he goes back and forth depending on the situation, because there are so many times you almost get the impression that he still sees Amy as Amelia, as the little kid, even though she's fully grown. And then there are the times where he recognizes she's an adult and treats her like an adult, and they are more closer to a peer level than a father-daughter relationship.
I think you hit the nail on the head. I think the 11th Doctor is very fatherly when there are children. Because the Doctor is the 11th Doctor is very childlike himself. Mm-hmm. He is that whimsical, he's that fun dad that, Mom is the authoritarian and Dad is the fun guy, and every once in a while he has to, implement a little discipline to keep it. But it always seems like the daughters and the sons are siding with Dad against Mom because Mom's the authoritarian and she's the very strict one. He's that type of person when there's no children around. But when there are children around, then he's the very fun. But he also recognizes things. And one of the things that I thought made him very fatherly is when The Beast Below, when they're talking about the surroundings, and he notices one little girl crying, and he's the only one that notices the little girl crying. And I don't remember exactly what he says is about the question about. Well, the first thing he asks is why is she crying? So he zeroes in and notices that, and I think that's a very fatherly aspect. I think when he's wanting to give the children in the
Doctor, the Widow, and Wardrobe.
That's the one. I remember the first part of that was the Doctor. The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe. When he wants to give them a Christmas to remember because of
be happy
the
because
fact
they
that
won't be happy later.
Exactly, they'll never be happy again. That's a very giving and loving fatherly gesture, I think.
Yeah.
And then again, another father on the other side of that is the one that's not coming home, and presumably the one that's not coming home and wouldn't have had the events and actions taken place, and she was able to save him. So there's another father. And then 12, I just have to completely agree with Chrissy's sentiments on 12. While it's very easy to look at the prickly aspects of the 12th Doctor and go, it's just not very fatherly, he has a lot of moments in which he is with Clara, and so he can serve as a father figure in that sense. I've got a bunch more. If you guys want to jump in and do a little bit, I'll take a break here and then.
Other than the Doctor, were there any in Classic Who that you pegged upon and went, this is the one? Because, like I said, New Who I feel like is
the brig,
pretty
but
well
there was a bit
represented.
of a bridge there. There's really not. And in fact, I hadn't really considered Tarkin until Nissa's father, until Keith brought that up. But there was certainly that. We've had the
Draconian from Frontier in Space.
Yes,
the Draconian Emperor was a pretty darn good father.
It was one of those ones where the son is it's almost that unconditional love there as well. He was a very good father, but he had that. I think wasn't the son a bit rebellious and was going through. If I'm remembering that right,
because he was the one that was kind of saying, "Father, why aren't we going off to war?"
Exactly. He is very strong-headed and very I don't want to say rebellious against his father, but he had different ideals and different outlook than his father did.
Yeah.
But his father was continually trying to guide him, and that this is the best way to do this.
And using the wisdom of not only his position, but I forgot about the Draconian.
Oh yeah.
Another one I would say would be the Peladon. Had a father-son. That was a mother-son relationship. That wasn't father.
Well, wasn't the other Peladon with the princess? Wasn't that a father-daughter relationship?
Yeah, because that's where Sarah Jane kind of stepped in and said, "No, you don't have to marry the guy if you don't want to."
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Although.
That I kind of would say not as a very good father.
That was a little rough
very
because
father,
of the fact
but,
that the father had the traditions that he was upholding, and had the he was more of the abrasive dictatorial father. But then again, at the end, he sort of won over, and if I remember this right, he is sort of won over and convinced, isn't he? By the end of that the traditions don't necessarily have to be followed. Am I remembering the end of that right?
I think so.
So there's a father there, but I don't know that you could. My memory's not enough in order to
it's been a while
qualify
since
whether
we've
he would have been a father or not.
It's interesting bringing up the alien aspect, is because I'm trying to think now, and it's so hard to put those in that category because we don't have the context of their society to judge if they are good parents. They're some of the Ice Warrior. I think there were Ice Warrior parents, or any of the other monsters or aliens, where it's a son trying to please the dad. To us, what they're doing is not appropriate and not good father-son behavior, but for their society, he's probably an upright and outstanding father.
What about the nuclei of the swarm?
Oh, yeah.
Going forth and going to give birth to an entire species that's going to go out and swarm across the universe, and he doesn't care who he has to kill to have that happen.
Right.
I suppose within the confines of a pretty good dad.
Well, and like father of mine in Family of Blood. I mean, in that context of that family and that species, what the dad does is for his family. I mean,
Family Slitheen.
Yeah. It's another good example.
Boy, we've strayed far and wide on what I thought we were going to talk about.
Well,
especially going into Sarah Jane Adventures.
Yeah, certainly looking from the perspective, though, of the society. It's easy to paint fathers in our perspective and from the way that we believe, but it's really hard to step onto the other side of that from the society of these other species and aliens and in comparison, is that a good father? And I think we have to kind of rail ourselves back to our perspective and say, yes,
just
I think
to be fair.
Exactly.
It's just so interesting because I never even thought of any
another
aliens.
Dynamic there as well.
It's a whole thing I never thought of.
Who was there was one there that I was thinking of, and I suppose Rassilon, as the father of Time Lord Society, would count too. Throw that out there.
Not really father figure. He's a bad father.
Yeah.
Is he a bad father, or does the rest of the family just paint him into that corner?
Nah. He's a very selfish father, in my opinion. Over the course of everything that we've learned about Rassilon, he's very selfish.
I continually think back on some of the ones that there have been a handful of, I think, the dad that dragged the youngster on the adventure so that they could go do and inevitably winds up getting himself killed or something. It seems like that's kind of been a trope that happens pretty regularly. Although for the life of me, I can't think of one now. But other than your examples, I really have to kind of go back to New Who and kind of center in on.
I'm the same way.
Lot more.
And you guys talked a little bit about Pete. Pete's that anomaly because Pete was not there for Rose's growing up. I mean, she was a baby when he died, and he really kind of gets his moment in Father's Day. He really gets what sort of dad he would have been, and to make that ultimate sacrifice as well, not just to save the lives of everybody, because he does, but also to save the life of the daughter he never knew. And that's pretty incredible. And to take that one step further, that when she meets Pete's world, Pete, when she meets Pete in the alternate universe, he's never had a daughter. He never had a chance. It was a dog. Rose was the dog, and Jackie was very selfish. But again, he's able to redeem himself because there's that fatherly nucleus in him, because he's the one that it's probably at the encouragement of Jackie, but he's the one that pops in and saves Rose before she's pulled into the void.
Yeah.
And that's a very selfish act, or selfless act, in order to do something for somebody you just met, and what could have been. I mean, you don't know what it was, and clearly when he takes both her and Jackie into his life, and decides to become the family man that they really wanted in the first, or Jackie really wanted, and was painted in Rose's mind, because Jackie made her dad seem like a really great guy, even though he was really kind of a deadbeat. And to really fulfill that role and then become a father again of his own, because Jackie's pregnant by the end of that episode. So there's another Tyler on the way at that point. So Pete gets that anomaly that there's that nature about him, that fatherly nature that just we never get to experience in our world. And he does get to become in the alternate universe. So he's a bit of an anomaly, but I think that makes him a very good father, because there's something inside him that would have made a great father. So
he's able to overcome those
situational
things.
Chrissy mentioned a little bit about Martha's dad, and you kind of elaborated on a little bit that so much of the focus was on the mother.
Yeah.
That we really don't get much there, other than there's been a separation, and they don't get along anymore. But Martha turned out all right, and apparently still has a very good relationship with her dad.
Well, by the end of the three-parter, they're pretty much back to being a whole family.
Well,
again, too.
and you get that impression, too, that he's very protective. He would do anything for
he
his
was very
daughter,
protective
for his kids, any of his
up on
kids.
that.
And you really get that, despite the fact that there were, as you said, falling out between the mother and the father, her mom and dad. At least they both had their children's best interest in mind, regardless of the approach they took to protect them. And I mean, you can arguably say that her mom made huge mistakes, but both of them, I think, were very, very good to their children in the sense that they were always trying to do what they felt was best for them, despite the relationship they had.
Yeah. I just thought of another new Who one that we've only seen a little bit, but he seems like he's a very good dad, which is Clara's. Despite whether it be she be an aunt or girlfriend or new wife, the bits with her and her dad during Time of the Doctor. Yeah, he's very supportive of her and very encouraging for her.
I mean, the Doctor shows up naked, for crying out loud.
Yeah, and
he's
he
trying
rolls
to
with
take
it.
in stride. Her quote-unquote boyfriend shows up naked. Actually, Gran was probably more...
She was a bit more, but then he was still very supportive after she comes back and is all devastated. I mean...
We talked a little bit about, and the feedback talked a little bit about Wilf as well, and Wilf really stepping in when Donna's father dies, which happens obviously off screen, but because he's there for Runaway Bride. But at some point, I think Wilf stepped in as the fatherly figure for Donna and showed unconditional love for her, and was, as Chrissy pointed out, his cheerleader. Maybe that was Holly that said that, but was really a cheerleader for Donna to aspire, because Donna she was very unmotivated. She was very narrow-minded, I think, until she met the Doctor. She was very narrowly focused on what she wanted in life, and ultimately, I mean, she ends up with the gentleman there that she finally does get married to the second. Well, it's her second marriage, and he's a very run of the mill, not very well off. Not somebody that's going to be able to handily take care of them. But he recognizes the fact that they're in love, and he's very supportive of that relationship, and realizes that's what's good for her. Fortunately, the Doctor helps out and gives him a little money, which I think was really cool, that he borrowed the $1 that he bought the ticket from her dad, her actual dad.
Oh,
that was, I still get chills when I think of that moment. I think, for all that reminiscing and pandering that they did at the end of the time, that was one of those moments I went, that was clever.
Well, I think Wilf is a great character and a great grandfather, but I don't know if he was a great dad. I think he might be a better grandfather than a dad, because look
Here's
how
why.
Sylvia didn't turn out the greatest.
But here's why he's a good dad, because he's very tolerant of her.
Well, that's true. He's very patient with Sylvia.
And he's very patient with Syl. And Syl is that abrasive type of person. And you kind of wonder if maybe she might have gotten that from her mother.
Yeah.
Who Wilf would have also had to have been very patient with and understanding. And he may see a lot of his wife in that, his past wife, in that. And so I think that he's very supportive of Sylvia, even when she's very abrasive and very, he also respects the fact that when she's ganging up on Donna and doing what she thinks is best for Donna, he is still very supportive. Now, behind her back, he kind of does I'm being a cool dad and siding with you, but he never really berates Sylvia for being the type of mother that she is. So I think that could be a good quality in a father as well, is let your kids raise the kids the way you had your chance. Let the kids raise their kids the way they feel the best way to raise them. And that can make him a good father as well. It's all different aspects.
It's different ways of being a father. Yeah.
I wish I had some more Classic Who. The thing is, anytime that we meet fathers in Classic Who, and I think we have met fathers and daughters and fathers and sons, it's always very supplemental to the story. There's always it's always.
That's the difference.
I don't want to say it's a B plot, but it's always very underlined to what the big.
Well, it's a footnote.
It's a footnote. Exactly.
It's
gives
one
character
dropped line
development, and
of
that's
character
about it,
development before we go off and have a chase before the cliffhanger. And that's just the dynamic of the show has changed so much, where because it is, still perceived very much as a family show, I think they, RTD and Moffat have taken that to heart and said, all right, let's introduce some family into this. And that's why we get so much of Jackie. Because that was really unheard of when you look at early Who and then look at that we're getting really a whole episode about her family and her backstory and this. And then when we get introduced to Donna for the first time in Runaway Bride, we get that. And we get introduced to Martha for the first time, we get that. And it's kind of been the template ever since then.
And then later we get a story about a character learning how to be a good father and choosing to be a father instead of a guy who's married to a girl with a daughter or with a child.
Yeah.
I mean, with Craig, that whole story in Closing Time is very much him earning the respect of his child and learning to be a father.
Yeah. Yeah,
Which it's the storytelling difference where they explore the more than just it's an alien invasion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so going back, I'm gonna use this because we're talking fathers. Did I tell you guys I watched Into the Woods last week?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Craig, what's his real name?
James Corden.
Thank you. James Corden's in that, and there is a scene where, spoilers, the mother has died. And Cinderella is giving him his child because they had the baby because the curse was broken because they got the objects for the witch and she broke the curse, so they were able to have their child. And after the mom dies, the mom has been the one that's been very supportive of mother and the child. And Cinderella gives the baby to the baker, which is what James Corden is playing, and he does this. I don't know what to do with it. It was very, very Craig and I thought they did that on purpose. He acted exactly like he did. Either that, or he said, "Oh, I know something would be fun," and he ad-libbed that because it was so Craig in that moment. And I thought, "Oh, what a wonderful nod to Doctor Who that was." Anyway, sorry, that was still father related.
And the director's going, I don't get it, but I liked it. Okay, we'll keep that in.
I'm hoping that there was a lot of people that were on board with that, knew that, oh yeah, I know what we're doing here. That's cool.
Well, Johnny Depp was going to be the Doctor at one point.
Anyway, that's the worst part of that movie, by the way.
Shock. Disbelief.
And it's certainly easier for us because of what you just said about how Moffat and Davis both realized that, it is a family show. Let's interject some family into this. Family can make for some really good drama. So let's put that in there. And so that's why we focus on it. Because like you said, in Classic Who, a lot of times it was a footnote. And so we struggle to find father-like figures in Doctor Who, which we've done with, Chrissy did with Ian, I think was very good. Stephen to a point, and then obviously stepping through the Doctor and his relationship with his companions. So they in turn, I think, make good father figures themselves for all different qualities of being a father.
Yeah. And Rory and
another thing that points to Rory would have been an excellent father, or had we been able to see, I think Rory was a good father, is when the Dream Lord puts them in the scenario. What was the name of it? Was it Amy's Choice?
Yeah.
Where they put them in the scenario, and she's pregnant, and he is very, very protective and ready and getting ready for this, event that's going to come. And it's that lead up to, you realize that Rory is really changing, or this version of Roy is really changing and making preparations for his wife to have a child and to be that father, and he's being very protective of Amy and the baby that hasn't been born yet. And so you see a lot of qualities of a good father in that sense, somebody preparing to become a part of fatherhood.
Yeah.
And I think that you get glimpses. That's the interesting thing about Rory is you get glimpses of what type of father he was based on the preparations for having a baby. The fact that he had babies dumped on his doorstep, and we find out that his grown daughter is already. He meets his grown daughter before he even meets the baby that he does get unfortunately isn't really his in Good Man Goes to War because it's a
Flesh avatar.
flesh avatar. So you kind of get that aspect, and then in turn with the adopted son that later visits Brian in what's it called? PS? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the storyboards for that. So
Yeah, I think Rory would have been a wonderful father.
I think so too.
Captain Avery.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
That was
That was his son that
that was
stowed
his
away.
son. Yeah.
More of a brigadier situation where Avery was really embroiled in his job, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
And the son was very neglected, so much so that he felt that he wanted to go on an adventure with his dad. But again, Avery was also protecting his son because Avery knew what he did. He knew what kind of man he was, and
He
so
knew it wasn't a safe place for
he
a
was
child.
exactly. He
Yeah.
was separating himself from his son in the sense that he didn't want to put his son in danger, his son and his wife in danger, and so and makes that kind of, or almost makes that ultimate sacrifice there at the end. It doesn't end up being well, it does kind of end up being a brigadier situation because he does put his life in danger to protect his son to a point.
Yeah.
I mean, they all get. It ends up being the doctor that saves everybody, but see, I'd forgotten about Avery. Yeah, it's a good one. Anybody else? I think we've
pretty
spurred
well
a very
covered.
good conversation here, and I think that there's a lot more, and I would hope that if listeners, whether you sent feedback this week or you hadn't thought much about it, but maybe we've spurred some of it. Maybe we can pull this into next week's feedback. If you've got a little bit more, somebody else springs to
If you're
mind.
screaming
If
at
we
your
forgot
radio
somebody,
right
let
now.
us know.
Another situation springs to mind. We can address a little bit of this in feedback next week. If anybody wants to add to the conversation, you're certainly welcome to retroactively as well. So, all right, well,
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
What do we got coming up on the schedule?
Well, as a late-minute change to the schedule, originally we were planning on doing the Aztecs with William Hartnell this week for Friday Night Who on the 26th. And due to a component of the schedule that's come into play for later, we've decided to change that. So I apologize if you were really looking forward
Or ran out and bought your disc.
or ran out and bought your disc for the Aztecs. It's not that we're not going to do it again. Of course we're going to watch that. It's the Aztecs.
It's Doctor Who's. You had to own it.
Yeah, like Glenn says, you're all completists here. But we will get to it eventually. But instead, we're going to go back and do Web of Fear. Now, we have done Web of Fear relatively recently in Friday Night Who time. We did it last year when the disc initially came out after being discovered. But
Yes.
yeah,
Because it released digitally in October. It was discovered, and we did it when it released on DVD in April.
yeah. But we're gonna break into two parts. We're gonna do the first three parts of the Web of Fear for our Friday Night Who next week, and then we've got two Eighth Doctor Big Finish adventures for the Eighth Doctor's adventures, which is number 5 Phobos and number 6 No More Lies, which Glenn apparently has already listened to. And then we're going to come back the July 4th weekend. So on the 3rd, we'll be listening or watching the follow-up 4 through 6 of the Web of Fear. And then our show that week is the book review, which is why we made this change. We're actually all reading Lethbridge Stewart, Forgotten Son, which is the Traveling the Vortex Book Club book of the month over on Goodreads, and we decided, well, this is an opportunity for us to be topical and on time for once. So you've all got through June to finish reading the book.
Yes, if you haven't started, hop on board.
Hop on board. You
You
still got 2 weeks, but it's only, what'd you say,
288 pages, I believe.
Which is not horrible.
It's
It's a doable for 2 weeks.
yeah.
But, if you've been part of the book club, we thank you for that, and I hope everybody's enjoying that. And we wanted to be a little bit larger of a part of that. So I tipped off the book club folks this week that, this was coming. So if you're not on board with the book club, well, see, they had an exclusive on you. So there's a reason to jump over there and do that. But we'll be actually giving our review on that the following week. And then the rest of the schedule will be posted. I'm putting the finishing touches on the post now, as a matter of fact. So,
Excellent.
288 pages, according to Goodreads.
which I'm up to, I think I said, what did I say, 46?
Something like that.
And you're well ahead. You're
152. I'm halfway through.
Since we're all doing page numbers, I figured I better jump on board with that business.
I only do that because as I track it on Goodreads.
It's a lot easier digitally. When it, But, so yeah. So jump on board and go get your copy of Lethbridge Stewart, Forgotten Son.
The Forgotten Son, isn't it?
Is it The Forgotten Son?
Yeah, I finally got to the reason of the title.
Oh, so it makes sense eventually.
Saw it coming. Yeah.
And if you have started reading the book, you can certainly understand why we've chosen to switch from the Aztecs to Web of Fear.
And if you have read the book, don't be afraid to go on to Goodreads and go ahead and post your reviews.
Oh, yeah.
Make sure if you are spoiling anything that you mark it spoilers. But yeah, go ahead and get those reviews in there. We might even, as we finish up, look at some of the reviews on there and see. And if they don't end up in feedback, maybe we could go to those and kind of
It'd be fun to share those.
Yeah, share some of those as well. So if you want to do the review there as well.
This is our attempt to integrate our community.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to do more with the book club because it's something that the ladies have streamlined and really got off the ground, and we thoroughly enjoy it. I wish we could be involved more often than we are. Yeah. We certainly try, but this is one way for us to really kind of tie the two together. So. All right. Well, of course, be sure and support us. Patreon, Spreadshirt, Amazon. If you just want to send us cash, that's fine too. We want to thank everybody that has pledged this last month. Those of you that have added pledges and those of you that have raised pledges. Again, thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Brittany. And be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, any of those other places. If you're new, you can find us on those. It's just a quick search of Traveling the Vortex. We are at Travel Vortex. That's a little harder one to find on Twitter. And then each of us individually, we haven't done this in a while. Keith is at Vortex Keith. It's that simple. Sean is at Vortex Sean. It's that simple. I'm Beelzebub 72.4. Not as simple. No, I'm just kidding. I'm at Vortex Glenn, which is just that simple as well. So you can find us on there and follow us individually.
We've streamlined it for you.
We have streamlined it.
Other than the funky spellings, I think of at least two of us.
Funky spellings?
Yeah. I think Glenn with two N's is a little unusual.
That's the way it's supposed to be spelled.
That's how I've always spelled it. But then I come up against people, and I add that second N out of habit. And
you give your name anywhere for take your order. Yeah, okay. What's your name? Glenn. One N. Two N's, please. And I get to the point where I'm like, I guess you're just going to say it, so it doesn't matter if it's got two in it or not. But it still bugs the egg out of me. It's two N's.
And I am Sean, not seen.
I can see you.
No.
I see you right here.
As in Sean Connery.
Interesting enough, though, he's SHAUN. Not SHA.
I am. Yeah, Connery's not.
WN as in. No, but there's a lot of Seans that do it with a W. So, and you are you. You are you.
I am a AUN, yes, so I'm very...
You are unique.
And Keith, I can't keep track if it's EI or IE. So
EI.
It's always IE.
I change it.
I rarely see an IE. I rarely see an IE.
Yeah,
but he did capitalize his. So,
yeah.
You can still
the
find
V and the K.
You can still find it. So,
capitalization isn't important.
Anything else we need to touch on before we close this one?
Thank you once again to everybody who listens to us, for everybody who supports us, for everybody who is part of our extended family out there listening, and we love you.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
And that's going to do it for this week. Until next week, I'm Glenn.
I'm Sean.
I'm Keith.
Cheers.
Good night, everybody.
Be seeing you.
You have been listening to Traveling the Vortex. Doctor Who and all of its associated programs are owned and trademarked by the BBC. No infringement is intended or implied.